I know.
You asked me what you did. Thank you. The Puyallup City Council meeting for April 28th is called to order. Will everyone please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Councilmember Gilliam.
Present.
Councilmember Castleman.
Present.
Councilmember Smolko.
Present.
Councilmember Adler.
Present.
Deputy Mayor Johnson.
Present.
Councilmember King.
Present.
Mayor Whitting.
Present. I look out and I notice a couple of young people in our crowd, and we always like to recognize them. We love to invite people to serve in a public capacity, and our young people will be sitting up here someday. So thank you for being here, and hope to see you serving in this capacity one day. We'll now move on to the approval of the agenda. Do I have a motion to approve the agenda?
Move approval.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Consideration of the minutes of March 10th, 2026. Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. So we're right along to the presentations and proclamations. We've got 3 here tonight. So I will read them and then invite folks up to receive the proclamations and get some pictures taken. So our first one is for the 6th grade basketball championship team from Puyallup. I'll invite them to come on in so everybody can take a good look at them. You can just come right here to the front and stand right in front of it. So the proclamation reads as follows. Whereas the city of Puyallup takes great pride in celebrating the achievements of its young residents whose dedication, teamwork, and perseverance bring honor to our community. And whereas the Puyallup Elite 6th grade team, part of the Puyallup High School feeder program, began their journey 3 years ago as 4th graders, building their success on commitment, growth, and a shared dedication to improvement. And whereas in their first season, the team competed at the state level and finished with a 2-2 record, highlighted by 2 thrilling buzzer-beater victories and 2 closely contested losses. And whereas in their 5th grade season, with the addition of new players and continued development, the team advanced to the Washington State Championship game and earned a 2nd place finish after a hard-fought contest against a strong Ferris feeder program. And whereas motivated by that experience, the team entered their 6th grade season with a clear goal of winning a state championship, maintaining their core group, adding 1 new player, and demonstrating an exceptional work ethic by competing in higher age divisions and club-level tournaments to prepare for the postseason success. And whereas their preparation and determination resulted in winning 6 of 7 tournaments leading up to the state tournament and carrying that momentum into postseason play. And whereas in a defining moment during the state quarterfinals, the team overcame a 1-point deficit with just 26 seconds remaining against Woodinville, showing remarkable resilience and composure to secure a 4-point victory that propelled them forward. And whereas the Puyallup Elite 6th grade team ultimately achieved their goal, winning the Washington State Middle School Championship and bringing pride and recognition to the Puyallup community. And whereas beyond their success on the court, these student athletes exemplify the very best of youth athletics through their character, consistently demonstrating kindness, respect, perseverance, and teamwork. And whereas their accomplishments reflect not only their individual and collective efforts, but also the unwavering support and encouragement of their families, coaches, and community. And whereas the majority of this team will soon join the Aylen Junior High School community, where their leadership, character, and commitment to excellence will continue to positively influence their peers and school culture. Now therefore, I, Ned Whitting, Mayor of the City of Puyallup, on behalf of the City Council and the residents of Puyallup, do hereby recognize and congratulate the Puyallup Elite 6th grade team on winning the Washington State Middle School Championship and commend them for their outstanding achievement and exemplary representation of our community. Be it further proclaimed that we celebrate their remarkable journey, honor their dedication and resilience, and wish them continued success in all their future endeavors. In witness whereof, I have heretofore set my hand and caused the seal of the City of Puyallup to be affixed this 28th day of April 2026. Ned Whitting, Mayor, City of Puyallup. Myself in the middle so we can get some
Smile, okay, 1, 2, 3.
Good job, boys.
Good going, guys. Would like to come forward and say a few words. We'd love to have you.
He's looking at me like I'm not the guy.
Thanks for having us. Appreciate it. Thanks for having us. And
Thanks for being here.
I mean, I guess I can't say enough about these guys, right? I've been coaching this group all the way through. I'm also the proud principal of Aylen Junior High, so I'm gonna be these guys' principal coming up. But, again, I kind of helped write that proclamation. I said all the things. The thing that I'm most proud of are the character of these kids, and also they have amazing parents. But they're a joy to coach. They had to earn it, every minute of it, every second of every game. They did it. The thing that I'm most proud of is it's a goal that they've had. They achieved that goal, and they were outstanding, and they deserve to be state champs. So it's an amazing group. Appreciate you guys letting us be a part of this. The city council, obviously the city of Puyallup, we're very proud to be part of this community. So thank you all for doing this for these guys, because they earned it and they deserve it. So thank you.
Thompson, my senator. Awesome.
Okay, thank you, guys. Way to go. Our next proclamation is for National Corrections Officer Week proclamation. It goes as follows. Whereas National Corrections Officers Week was first proclaimed on May 5th, 1984 by President Ronald Reagan when he signed Proclamation 5187 to recognize the men and women who work in jails, prisons, and community corrections across the country. And whereas in 1996, the U.S. Senate officially changed the name to National Correctional Officers and Employees Week, recognized in the first week of May. And whereas the correctional officers are dedicated to safeguarding residents in the city of Puyallup and ensuring public safety, and whereas corrections officers are responsible for supervising inmate conduct and behavior to maintain security within the facility while promoting positive behavior, attitudes, and skills within the inmate population in order to reduce recidivism and promote successful reintroduction to the community. And whereas corrections officers strive to maintain a safe working and living environment inside the facility, often in the face of significant challenges and dangers, and our community recognizes the important work and sacrifices that corrections officers make each day to protect the citizens of Puyallup. Now therefore, I, Ned Whitting, Mayor of the City of Puyallup, Washington, do hereby proclaim May 3rd through 9th, 2026 to be National Correctional Officers Week in the City of Puyallup and encourage all citizens to join in honoring our corrections officers who, by their faithful and loyal devotion to their responsibilities, have rendered dedicated service to the community, remembering those correctional professionals who have made the ultimate sacrifice, as well as those who continue to face the daily dangers and challenges in our nation's jails and prisons. In witness whereof, I have heretofore set my hand and caused the seal of the City of Puyallup to be affixed this 28th day of April 2026. And I'd like to invite Captain Wayne Blackard to come forward and accept this proclamation. And our final proclamation is a fun one tonight. It recognizes an outstanding individual. Happy to have you here with your family tonight. And I read as follows. Whereas acts of courage, compassion, and selflessness strengthen the fabric of our community and exemplify the very best of what it means to be a resident of Puyallup. And whereas on Thursday, April 9th, 2026, on West Pioneer Avenue in Puyallup, a young boy was a victim of a sudden and dangerous dog attack that posed an immediate and serious threat to his safety and well-being. And whereas in that critical moment, Ryan Meeker demonstrated extraordinary bravery and presence of mind by stepping in without hesitation, placing himself between danger and a vulnerable child. And whereas with decisive action and complete disregard for his own personal safety, Ryan Meeker intervened to stop the attack, bringing the situation under control and preventing what could have been far more severe injuries or a tragic outcome. And whereas his actions reflect not only physical courage, but also a deep sense of responsibility, empathy, and an unwavering commitment to the well-being of others, which are qualities that define true heroism. Whereas the incident, which was reported to Metro Animal Services, underscores the importance of vigilance and community responsibility and highlights how individual actions can make an immediate and life-saving difference. And whereas Brian Meeker's courage serves as a powerful reminder that the strength of Puyallup lies in neighbors looking out for one another, stepping forward in times of need, and embodying the shared values of care, service, and community pride. And whereas his willingness to act in a moment of crisis represents the very spirit of Puyallup, a community built on compassion, resilience, and belief that we are stronger when we protect and support one another. Now therefore, be it proclaimed that this Puyallup City Council does hereby recognize and honor Ryan Meeker for his heroic action and outstanding courage in saving a young boy from a dog attack on April 9th, 2026. And be it further proclaimed that the city expresses its deep gratitude for his bravery, commends him for his selfless service to the community, and celebrates the example he has set for all residents. And be it further proclaimed that Ryan Meeker's actions will stand as a lasting testament to the character of this community and an inspiration for others to act with courage and compassion when it matters most. In witness whereof, I have heretofore set my hand and caused the seal of the City of Puyallup to be affixed this 28th day of April, 2026. Ned Whitting, Mayor, City of Puyallup. I'd like to get your family up here too.
Yeah.
They made you who you are, right?
Good? Going? Well,
He's very helpful. And here's the proclamation, and we've got a copy of each of the proclamations. Look at the back for each of your family members here. So, and we're not done with you yet. We also have a city coin that we hand out to, in special instances, to honor people that have made a significant contribution to the city. And we've got Deputy Chief Massey here that has something to hand out as well.
Ryan, on behalf of Chief Scott Engel and the men and women of the Cal Police Department, we just want to give you this certificate of appreciation from the police department as well as one of our department points, and I'm going to take a minute to distribute this as well. A little shorter than the proclamation. But, you know, we say, when you see something, say something, and you took it a step beyond. You saw something and you did something, and we can't thank you enough for that. But Ryan Meeker is recognized for his extraordinary courage and selflessness on April 9th, 2026 in Puyallup, Washington. By intervening in a dangerous dog attack to protect a child, he demonstrated remarkable bravery, compassion, and commitment to the safety of others. His actions reflect the highest ideals of community and true heroism. With the deepest gratitude, we honor Ryan Meeker for his heroic actions and unwavering commitment to the safety and well-being of others. Signed, Chief Scott Engel, Puyallup Police Department.
Okay, as we now move into the scintillating part of the meeting, we give everybody that came for the proclamations a chance to exit gracefully if you're interested in doing so.
May I say something real quick?
Oh, yes, by all means, sorry.
No, it
Take-
just kind of sprouted on me. Do I come over here? Yeah.
That way everybody online can hear you too.
Yeah. My name is Ryan Meeker, and I was just at the right place at the right time. I just hope that this would give to other people to do the right thing, no matter the cause, the case, situation, the person at hand. I don't feel like a hero, but it's crazy how many messages and awards and things I'm getting when all I did was did whatever I could to protect that little boy. So I just hope that this is a message to other people just to do the right thing. And that's all I would like to say. And thank you so much. I'm glad I'm not getting called to be arrested by the Puyallup Police Department, and I'm getting an award. And I told my family the city council is honoring me versus me getting locked up. So hey, just thank you so much. And I really appreciate this opportunity. Thank you. I know. Thank you. Hey, it's my track coach right here. Thank you all so much.
Okay, we'll move on to citizen comments. Will the city clerk please read the instructions for public comments?
This part of the meeting is for general citizen comments. Please reserve any public hearing testimony to that section of the agenda. The mayor will call on those who have provided their names in advance. Then the mayor will call for other citizens who wish to speak. For the record, please state your name and address or city council district in which you reside. Please direct your comments to the council as a whole, not individual council members. All comments are limited to 3 minutes. The clerk will provide verbal notice when only 30 seconds remain. As a reminder, this portion of the meeting is council's opportunity to hear from the community and not a time to engage in debate. Lastly, per state law, this public comment period cannot be used to speak in support of or in opposition to a ballot measure or individual candidacy, and no such comments will be allowed.
Thank you. First, we'll hear from Val Dent.
Val Dent, District 2. So, as I'm still waiting for some form of a neighborhood meeting, date, time, place, Same universe, same zone, I don't know, I don't care, but I'd like one. In the meantime, I've given you all eye candy. The white one pertains to the Deer Creek project and the fact that that area, 12th Avenue, 10th, all the way down to the valley that you are currently working on and sort of ignoring the top part of the problem is flooding. We'll visit this at a later time because it's district specific. The other eye candy I have is pedestrian safety. And in there, you will find a booklet that is put out by the school district for school supervisors in regards to traffic and the needs and types of equipment, times, dates, when things get set up, how they get set up. There's also a National Transportation Safety Board survey and special study that was done. The practices in there, even though on highways or major thoroughfares, still fit within our city guidelines. Now, with that being said, I'm asking City Council to have on their agenda at next meeting the police department, and I understand there are guidelines, but my neighborhood does not understand the guidelines. And that's why it takes up to 1.5 years to put cameras into equipment that's been in place. I just want to know the whys. I don't want to hear long-winded questions and whatever that goes with it. I'd just like to know why, and I'd like it on record for my neighborhood to hear. The other thing is the Puyallup School District. I would like their transportation supervisor, officer, the school district, whoever's in charge, why they're allowing 7th Avenue to happen with extreme minimals
30
in
seconds.
control of traffic for the students. That's unacceptable. There needs to be speed zones, flashing yellow lights, photo enforced on Pioneer and down here on 3rd, and it needs to carry through from Callis all the way to 21st. I don't understand why there are no answers to these questions, and I don't understand why there seems to be a dodging of the bullet
Mr.
when
Mayor,
all of
speakers
you
reach 3
are
minutes.
involved in it. I thank you for your time.
Thank you. Next, we will hear from Matthew Karras.
Members of the board, the city of Puyallup has secured $1.3 million in state capital budget funding. In the 25-26 adopted biannual budget, a vibrant economy, a safe community, a livable and healthy community, and organizational excellence are focus. Currently, many residents, including some of the voters who voted for you, are concerned about how money is being allocated. $165,000 for a flagpole and flag installation to celebrate America 250 is a gross mismanagement of that money and how we can better serve our veteran neighbors. Community members talked about infrastructural problems. On the Puyallup City website, you mentioned state funding for the 4th Street Northwest Stormwater Project, which will address drainage challenges, improve water quality, and enhance system capacity in the surrounding area. Also, earlier this year, a Puyallup High School student was ran over by a car on the intersection of 7th Street Northeast and 2nd Avenue Northeast. Lastly, there is still an unfinished culvert on the 17th and 18th Street. What meaningful steps has the City Council taken to ensure the public safety of its residents on the street and other streets that are without sidewalks or other walkable spaces? Furthermore, we can use that same money to invest in community buildings and resources to help houseless and veteran neighbors. Throughout the year, New Hope Resource Center helps our houseless, including our veterans who are in need. The amount that is needed to keep the place running changes every year. And food costs alone, a yearly amount would be roughly around $45,000, roughly 27% of what the flagpole would cost. Many of those same people feel forgotten about in this city, and many of them have given their lives for this country. I urge the council to really think about their choices because their time is running out. Every day is another day for them to prove to the voters that they are actually listening to them, not just the ones who can make a trip to the Puyallup Fair or the Daffodil Parade. Puyallup deserves realness and better than what is being offered now. Puyallup deserves someone who would actively seek out members in our community, in all of our neighborhoods, even the undesirable ones, meet anyone where they are in this city, and figure out how to make it better. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we will hear from John Hopkins.
My wedding, members of the council, John Hopkins, District 1, representing Foothills Rails to Trails Coalition. Yogi Berra once said, when you come to a fork in the road, take it. This seems to be particularly applicable to the situation that we have with the Riverwalk and the missing link. Going back in time a little bit, actually it started, I think, when Bob Castamer encouraged me to become part of the, to watch what was going on in the Parks Board. And from that point on, he made Veterans Park a massive improvement as compared to its previous condition. And we went on to purchase 4 pieces of property so that we now have the right-of-way all the way through. And you've continued with the work and done the engineering. Unfortunately, or a good portion of the engineering, unfortunately, we're now at that proverbial fork in the road where I think the December floods made it abundantly clear to the engineers that there were some difficulties with part of it. Part of the link is pretty easy and predictable, but when the engineers use such words as abutments and revetments, the translation is pretty simple. Cost a lot. It's going to be super expensive. However, we can still achieve the goal pretty simply. And in my opinion, if we do a soft surface for the second portion of it, just like we have with the 5-mile loop, it'll serve the purpose. This kind of a measure is supported by the Foothills Rails to Trails Coalition and Forever Green Trails. John Palmer, president of that. So here we got 2 mayors ex-mayors working together, which is kind of ironical, I think. Anyway, I think that's the direction that should be seriously considered. Regardless, both of the organizations very much support the work that is being done. And remember, it won't eliminate the abilities. It'll just create a fork in the road where you can either go through the woods or you can take the old way and take the pavement route, so people who have accessibility issues won't be encumbered. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. We'll now hear from Joe Colombo.
Thank you, Council, for this opportunity to speak with you tonight. First, I'd like to recognize your code enforcement officer, Shane Piran, for his excellent service. I've been working with him on a couple of lighting issues, and throughout the process, he's been professional, responsive, and respectful. His prompt communication and willingness to address concerns has been greatly appreciated. He is a valuable asset to our city and an excellent example of dedicated public service. Second, I do want to commend the Washington State Fair, or the Western Washington State Fair, for the noticeable improvement in noise management during this year's Motorsport Mayhem events. While the sound was still audible from my home, which is about a mile from the arena, the duration of the noise was significantly reduced compared to previous years. And I appreciate the effort that was made to better contain the noise and manage the noise level this year. It was a meaningful improvement for nearby residents and demonstrates consideration for the surrounding community. Lastly, I understand that the council is voting tonight on allocating $150,000 in taxpayer funds to the installation of a flagpole over by Highway 167, over at the new interchange that's being put in near the where the construction is. I want to be clear that I have no objection to a project like this if it's funded privately and placed on private property, which was what was done with the installation of the flagpole at Tacoma Screw off of Highway 16. But given the city's recent decision to increase our utility taxes to help fund the rental of the Benny Roya building for the new police operations, along with growing concerns about an approaching economic downturn and widespread layoffs, I believe this is not the appropriate time for this expenditure. I strongly support our military and veterans. I personally purchased a commemorative brick at the Veterans Memorial across the street as a reflection of that support. My concern is not with honoring our service members, but with the responsible use of limited public funds. At this time, there are more urgent infrastructure and community needs that should take priority. For example, as was mentioned earlier, the culvert near 17th and 18th requires attention to help prevent nearby flooding into homes. Residents expect taxpayer dollars to be directed towards essential
30
services
seconds.
and critical improvements that directly impact public safety and quality of life. I respectfully ask the council to vote no on this proposal and instead reallocate these funds towards projects that address the city's most pressing needs and help prepare for the financial challenges ahead. Thank you.
We will next hear from Craig, and I'm going to struggle with the last name. Is it Detienne?
It's Daytian.
Detienne. I was close.
Close. I want to talk about Stewart Avenue. It is deteriorating under our feet. It's going to take extensive renovation that's going to take it from the Golden Rule, which is at 4th or 7th, and then all the way to Meridian. I know the infrastructure involves a lot of things. The food bank's there, the transit station is there, and it's going so rough through there that you could rake a car in no time. And it's going to be in somebody's way each time they travel it, back and forth. Doesn't matter if it's eastbound, westbound. The other part of it is that I think Dave and Dandy that were Ezra Meeker's oxen, I think they had a flatter base to walk on. They had a real problem going down Stewart for the problem that we had down at Stewart Crossing. That those guys were coming real fast. I lived right on 22nd Street, just before you get to Stewart Crossing. They were coming at least 80, 90 miles an hour for that rescue and involvement. The police are very active. I realize that there's a lot of crime, a lot more than what there was when I first moved here in 1950. We had 2 police cars. We had 5 buses for the whole school district when I was going to school here. So it's getting more and more involved, and out at South Hill, they have even more problems. So we're facing a lot of budget problems, and I'd like to see Stewart Avenue get a lot more attention. There's another involvement where Aylen students come across at Stewart and 15th. I would like to see a flashing yellow light for them to cross, because the parking on the eastbound side, or eastbound side, involves blocking anyone's view coming eastbound on Stewart. And it's a real problem, because the kids
30
from
seconds.
Karshner, the kids from Aylen cross every day there. And there's also, right at that crossing, there's a school, a bus stop, and people cross from where the old cement problem or establishment was, the cement things that for fountains and that. It's now a massage parlor, and they have a crossing right there. But it
Mr.
is,
Mayor, the speakers reach 3 minutes.
it is a real involvement where kids can be hit. I've seen people just flash right through there with occupancy. Okay?
Thank you, Craig.
Okay, thank you.
Next, we'll hear from Kyle Landon.
Hi, Kyle Landon, District 3. I'm not appearing here today in my capacity as a planning commissioner, but as a private citizen. I hope you guys had a chance to look at the email I sent in advance, especially for you visual learners like me. But I attached a map in there that kind of is along these lines here. My comments here today are with respect to the ADU restrictions in the Lahar hazard zone. And my main point that I want to bring across is the opposition to restricting this small aspect of our residential zoning code and singling out just these ADUs. My personal opinion is that, going from 1 to 2 ADUs, maybe not a big deal, and the overall impact on people trying to do 2 might be slim. But I think it's just the aspect of narrowly applying concerns about Lahar hazards to just one small aspect of our code. I think if we want to do a study on Lahar risk, we should look at it more holistically and not just in this quick way to kind of patch this up, or I'm not sure what the agenda is behind singling out ADUs. And I realize, there's concerns about parking. If you look at the 2026 USGS report, which was mentioned here in previous council meetings, there's a lot of time to walk out. I've provided just one map, which looks at the slow walk times, which is about a 22-minute mile. And I think our mayor here was mentioning about his times, about how long it took him to walk out. I think that map kind of backs that up as well. So thanks for field testing that. And so I think that's the kind of data we should look at if we want to make decisions. We could let experts look at that, our planning, and we have the experts on planning. We have experts with our emergency management division, and let them weigh on what policy would look like for better planning around the Lahar hazard zone. I'm not aware of any restrictions on any higher density units. I know our comp plan mentions bringing that into part of the review. Another aspect of data, and I think we've hit on this in previous council meetings that I've listened to, is the Lahar begins to arrive on the east end of the city around 2.5 hours and doesn't reach to the most isolated spots for 3.5 hours. If the worst walk time, using that slow walk metric, I know there's a slower metric, but using that, they still have 40 minutes to get out. Even if they're waiting an hour or have an inefficient route, that should still leave them with enough time. Now, there might be holes in that argument, but my main focus is on
Mr. Mayor, the speaker's
unevenly applying Lahar hazards to our code. Thank you.
Thank you, Kyle. Our next speaker will be Heather Schiller.
All
right, good evening, Mayor and members of council. My name is Heather Schiller. I live in District 2. I'm here tonight to talk about a few things on the agenda. First, I want to thank the council for the proclamation recognizing Ryan Meeker. Like many of you, I saw the unfortunate incident involving the dog widely shared on social media, and it was heartbreaking. As a mom and regular runner in that area, I was truly grateful that Mr. Meeker was there in that moment and chose to stop and help. His actions reflect compassion and civic responsibility, and I appreciate the council taking time to formally acknowledge that. The second item I want to address is the proposed funding related to the America 250 celebration, specifically the approval for the installation of the flagpole along the Meridian Corridor. According to the agenda, the total spending for this flagpole installation is $149,710. While the background explains the markups and construction process, there's limited documentation available for the public to independently evaluate whether this cost is reasonable or necessary, particularly given the scale of the investment. In addition, council previously approved $81,398 in funds for a 3-hour 4th of July celebration. These two items represent more than $230,000 in public funds. Residents regularly come and speak at council meetings to express concerns about traffic safety, street repairs, neighborhood flooding, lack of sidewalks, infrastructure failing to keep up with pace with growth, affordable housing, and continued loss of parking, just to name a few. These are not abstract issues. They affect people's daily lives. When we weigh these ongoing needs against discretionary spending of this magnitude, it raises valid questions about priorities and financial stewardship. This feels less about addressing pressing community need, but more about creating a permanent symbol that council members can later take credit for. I urge the council not to approve the proposed funding for the flag installation as presented, or in the alternative to explore a significantly less expensive option. I've seen many thoughtful ideas from residents about how to commemorate America's 250th anniversary in more inclusive and cost-effective ways, such as murals created by local students, public art that reflects Washington's history, or events that meaningfully represent the diversity in our community. Council members on this dais often speak about being good stewards of taxpayer dollars. I believe honoring that commitment means carefully scrutinizing large discretionary expenditures, especially when so many core infrastructure needs remain unmet in our community. I also want to take just a couple seconds. Katie Baker, I know, is moving on to a new role, and she was just amazing. When I was on the Planning Commission, she was fantastic, was so supportive. I honestly don't know what I would have done without her most times, so I just want to say thank you, Katie, for all the work you've done, and congratulations on your new role, and we will miss you, although I already miss seeing you every couple weeks anyway, but thank you.
Thank you. Our next speaker will be Samantha Miller.
Thank you. I'm Samantha Miller. I'm not from this district. On the Puyallup City website, you describe 4 different sections on your adopted biannual budget. Under Vibrant Economy, Puyallup's healthy economy and business-friendly culture attracts investment and supports businesses of all sizes. Does a $165,000 flagpole help attract business? Under Safe Community, Puyallup is a safe city to live, work, and play. Does a $165,000 flagpole help make the city safer? Under Livable and Healthy Community, Puyallup provides a high-quality community environment with a variety of housing options for all, access to a variety of parks and open spaces, recreational opportunities, and ease of getting around town for pedestrians, automobiles, and cyclists. Does a $165,000 flagpole help with these livable and healthy communities? Under organizational excellence, City of Puyallup is a high-performing government organization that delivers quality services desired by the community. Does a $165,000 flagpole help deliver these quality services? The answer to all these is no, and I urge you to vote no as well. Thank you.
Thank you. Now we'll hear from Mitzi McMahon.
Hi there, Mayor and Council. Thank you. My name's Mitzi McMahon, and I live at the 800 block of West Main. At 2:58 this afternoon, I heard yelling outside and found my mail carrier at my door visibly shaken. As she crossed Main Street at 8th Street Northwest, she'd been nearly hit by a student speeding away from school. I called the local post office and was told this is a known issue. I talked to a supervisor that used to work the very route. She said concerns about traffic near PHS have been raised with the school district before, several times. That should really concern all of us. We want students to be safe, but neighborhood safety matters too. Conditions are worsening, and why are we the only ones fighting for the students' safety? We need officers monitoring traffic before and after school, during running start release times, during rush hours, because someone is going to get seriously hurt or worse. Daily, we see drivers run stop signs at 8th and Main and 8th and 2nd Ave Northwest. They speed through residential streets that were never designed to absorb the redirected traffic. This weekend, a teen ran the stop sign at 2nd and 9th and T-boned another vehicle. Last fall, I spoke to council after another crash involved students at 2nd and 8th, same situation. Residents repeatedly report dangerous driving, illegal parking, congestion, and near misses. I sent videos and emails documenting these conditions. I have been before you multiple times to discuss this. I appreciate Puyallup Police Department officers who respond when we call, and I appreciate parking enforcement when they're available. Residents shouldn't have to constantly report problems. This is an undue burden on not only neighbors, but our city and your limited resources. There's been no consistent traffic enforcement, traffic calming, or any neighborhood safety improvements. Instead, these decisions have shifted traffic risks into surrounding neighborhoods. The traffic studies commissioned by the Puyallup School District are limited in scope and capture a snapshot in time. They don't fully evaluate what the closure has done to surrounding residential streets. The district showed us a sped-up video of students crossing 7th Street, but there has never been a comparable visual review of what the closure has done to the surrounding neighborhood, and I can tell you it is far more dangerous now. Students and residents are walking in areas without sidewalks or crosswalks and with increased dangers due to the closure. That is not a complete safety analysis, and it is not an equitable one. Frankly, the school district has not been a good neighbor to the residents nor a good city partner. The residents carry the burden through increased safety risks, and the irony here is that these decisions were made in the name of safety while creating increasingly unsafe conditions for students and residents. The city shouldn't make any permanent decisions until these impacts are fully evaluated and existing safety problems are addressed. We need a reset with meaningful, equitable engagement led by the city and an independent review of neighborhood impacts. The school district should not drive the process. Please slow the process down and require real solutions first. Thank you, Councilmember Castema and Adler. I know we've been in communications, you've been forwarding, and I really appreciate the efforts and the upcoming viewing of the neighborhood. Thank you.
Thank you. Jessica Degner.
You said it correct. A little short. Okay. Good evening, and thank you for the opportunity to speak. My name is Jessica Degner, and I live at 806 2nd Avenue Northwest, right next to the high school. I also work in the Puyallup School District, and I'm a child advocate for Pierce County. I care deeply about kids, their safety, their well-being, and their ability to just be kids. That's why this is so hard to say. I don't feel safe in my own neighborhood, and I don't feel like my kids are safe either. I see students speeding through our streets, not paying attention, running stop signs. It happens so often that I don't assume people are going to stop anymore. I assume they won't. Just this past Saturday, there was another accident because a student ran a stop sign. A few months ago, right in front of my house, a girl ran the stop sign, hit a Jeep, and ended up in the school fence. That's not just concerning, that's terrifying because that's where we live. And because of that, I don't let my kids walk around our neighborhood. I don't let them ride their bikes. I don't let them go outside and play freely. As someone who has dedicated my life to advocating for children, this breaks my heart. There aren't sidewalks in much of our neighborhood, which already puts kids at risk. Add speeding cars and distracted drivers, and it becomes a situation where I feel like I have to constantly protect my kids from the very place that's supposed to be their home. Even when I'm driving, I find myself checking intersections 2 or 3 times before going because I don't trust that someone isn't going to come flying through. Parking is not being enforced. The 4-hour signs are there, but students still park all day. It blocks visibility, adds congestion, and makes an already unsafe situation worse. And then there's the trash. I pick up garbage from my yard, my front yard, my side yard, left behind on a regular basis. It may seem small, but it adds to the feeling that the people who live there don't matter. I understand that students need safe access to their school. I truly do. I care about those students. But I have to ask you, if you lived where I live, if this was your street, if these were your kids, would you feel okay letting them play outside? Because I don't. I want to feel safe in my own home again. I want my kids to be able to be kids. Right now, that's not our reality. Something needs to change. Thank you.
Thank you, Jessica. Nadine Weinrich.
Hello, my name is Nadine Weinrich, and I live in District 2 next to Puyallup High School. I am like a broken record to Puyallup High School. I've lived there over 29 years, and I have to agree with everybody that has spoken here tonight. Safety is an issue in our neighborhood. You guys have a big job ahead of you. We need a lot of money to fix our streets, and Jim has been kind, and now there's another lady, Lauren Adler, on board to help us try and get safety issues addressed by Puyallup High School. I have so much to say, and for 29 years I've called Puyallup High School, please, the kids aren't safe out here. I've given up what I call the police. I was so scared this morning I had to reach out to the police department. Somebody was just peeling out 8 a.m. in the morning because the road was wet. School kids are going to come. People are running the stop sign all day long. That stop sign has been stolen. I didn't even notice it because people just go through that. Whatever, there's a stop sign there, they ignore it anyway. The pole is leaning now, that stop sign, but Jim has been helpful, coming and observing the neighborhood. But I'm gonna say real quick, safety is my issue, and I hope and pray you're hearing us all tonight, that this is our main concern. I have something to say, but I'm gonna share. Yesterday I was with my neighbor to record just the traffic leaving the high school on 8th and Main. And I was afraid standing out there that I would get hurt or, because of traffic and the way they drive. Kids flipped us off and called us weirdos and names. I live on a corner on 8th Street Northwest and 2nd Avenue. I've always maintained my home to be a good citizen, and I have 2 little dogs, and they're not allowed in the yard when school is getting out. But now the school district wants to permanently close that road over there, and all this traffic is coming there, and it's scary that, nothing is being done other than our parents' efforts. I don't know the new mayor, but I know Jim worked this up with us. And you're always welcome at any one of our homes to observe this, and any help that we can get to have student safety addressed. The police probably think, oh, that's Nadine, but I'm sorry. It's only for the student safety and my little dogs. Thank you.
Thank you. Having a little trouble reading this. Is it Arthur Grimes? Archer?
Hi, Council. Thanks for letting me speak. I'm Archer Grimes. I live on 809 West Main. Regarding the school safety and everything, I'm just going to speak a little more candidly. I've lived here for a good amount of time. I've lived in Puyallup almost my whole life. I was a student at one point. I mean, I'm pretty used to it about how students are treated and act and work at these school environments, but it's been ridiculously exhaustive lately to try and just coexist with the Puyallup School District faculty and everything going on in this downtown area. I work pretty consistently. I'm out of the house most of the time. When I come home, there's never parking. We have a parking restriction for 4 hours, but it's almost never enforced. Students are always parking and idling their cars in front of our houses, littering, doing a lot of other things that are just detrimental to the way we live our everyday lives. Like every time I'm going out to take out the trash can, I'm going to be picking up pieces of trash from the sidewalk. Kids have also made potholes in our yards. They'll just dig in our yards. Don't know what that's about. It's just been a continual problem that we've tried addressing multiple times, and it feels almost impossible for us to be able to make a difference at this point in time, where we will continually come to council and ask for our help in these situations or these problems. And I've been to a good amount of meetings, I've been to a good amount of other parts, but it's just not seeming to be making a large difference. And it's a bit hard to feel that way, especially just as someone who's living in the city and is trying to, you know, speak out and make sure that everyone's being safe and that we're having like charitable existence in our neighborhoods. I just want it to be not a rush decision right now. I want to make sure that we have everything taken under due consideration and listen to everyone and just try and make sure that we're actually making a noticeable difference. So I appreciate your guys' time. Thank you so much for listening me out.
Thank you. Bev Shoasi.
Hi, Bev Shosi, District 3. As I parked out front earlier tonight, and I saw that beautiful flag, the American flag across the street in the park with all the green around it. It was very, very nice. I heard that the City Council is going to be vote on whether to buy a $150,000 flag and stand for the 250th anniversary of our country's independence. I just found out it's going to be down by the car dealerships, 167 in Meridian. Why do we need to have a flag in the middle of the concrete down there? I don't understand it. I believe our forefathers would consider this an incredible waste of money, even at the amount that they used to live on. They would think that the money is better spent directly on helping our citizens by putting it towards fixing potholes, and I heard about a lot of streets today, or working on other infrastructure for our town. Perhaps these funds could go into more early childhood activities at the library, or a patriotic statue for our arts downtown, or free pancake breakfast on the 4th. Something that would bring our community together. This flag won't do that. There's so many other options than an extremely expensive flag base. We need something that on our country's 250th would be a true celebration of our country and its ideals. And I'm thinking that that would be supporting our families and our citizens here in some way.
Thank you. We'll now hear from Sandy Moynihan.
Hi, my name is Sandy Moynihan. I live in District 2, and I'm here as the Puyallup High School cross-country coach. I am probably not going to be, although you know me and you recognize me, the closed road for my team of 76 was a godsend this year because it gave us a place to actually warm up, because we don't have a facility as the cross-country team at Puyallup High School. I know you guys have seen us. We're literally the parade that runs down the sidewalks all through downtown. We use that space that's closed right now as a warm-up place, as a gathering place, as a place to have a meeting. Our athletes who are in the gym that need to go see the trainer, they have to cross that road every single time they need to go see the trainer because the trainer's in the portable. My classroom is in the gym. I overlook that road every day, and they all cross the road to go to the portables. I would love to say high school students follow rules and cross in crosswalks, and we all know they don't. We all know that they don't. It's not that we don't care about the neighborhood, but the students can't see beyond 3 feet of their body. And that's not what they're looking for. They don't look for cars when they cross the street. I would love to say they do, but not when they're walking and they see their friend across the road. They were crossing in the middle of the road when the road was open. I know that there's not a great solution. I know the neighbors are upset. I've seen my students drive. They do not drive well. They are young. Their synapses are not fully functional. We all know that, those of us who have teenagers. But there needs to be a place for us to walk to and from classes that are safe. It needs to be a place where athletes can go and do our warm-up, because if I have 76 athletes, I don't have a place for them to warm up properly. And that is August through November that we use that space. So I urge you to consider all options, but having that road closed legitimately saves the students between classes, which happens 7 times a day, where they move to and from the buildings and the portables. So I know the neighborhood is upset. I get that. We run through the neighborhood. We understand that there's no sidewalks. But it is truly a safety measure at Puyallup High School. Thank you.
Thank you. Bud Metzger.
Bud Metzger, District 3. Well, we started off with the celebration of the kids, and it's about the kids a lot, isn't it? And you wanted the job, so you guys got to step up and do the whole job, not just part of it, and not play one against the other. Because I don't think everybody here is in disagreement. It's that the city needs to take more responsibility for the traffic and how it's rolling in Puyallup. You know, you all know I lost a son in a car accident. They're worth a lot more than the chicken feed that you throw at traffic calming. One child is worth more. So don't throw money, don't throw money at flags. Do stuff that protects the children. There's at least 10 schools down here. They're children. I bet if I knew you guys all when we were 8 years, in 8th grade, it'd be a different world. But things have changed. We have massive traffic here. You can't avoid it. You have to deal with it. And with respect to the corrections officer, we do need to celebrate them, because they're part of this hidden force in the city that works to take care of us, as well as Public Works and everybody in there that provides services for us all the time. So we need to reinforce their abilities to do things to protect us. It's easy to try and play us versus them, but we're all the same. There is no us versus them. You're trying to make it that way. Don't. These people's yards are just like my neighbor's yards to me. I live up on the hill, but there's no difference, and there never has been. So please, don't try and play one against the other, which is what happens a lot up here. It's not for the best interests of Puyallup. Thank you.
Thank you. That completes the citizens' comments of people that have signed up. Is there anybody in the audience that would like to speak at this time? Come forward. State your name and residence or address or district.
Jill Roeder, District 1, I think, because I think I'm in your district. I wasn't planning on speaking. I didn't know what the topics were going to be about. I just knew I was here to support some friends. But hearing about the closure of the school, the area, I've lived 18 years in one on the south side of town, and I've lived like 15 years on the north side. And I can say when I saw that school area was closed, that made sense to me. I mean, I'm not affected by it personally, but sorry, I'm nervous. I drive through this town all the time. I live and work down here, And I understand what residents feel as far as the students driving, because I have experienced seeing students drive in a way that is nerve-wracking. But I also can see why the school should have that closed area there, because that just seems like it would make sense to me for students. I think about the school that I had. All of our school activities were on one side of the road, all of our buildings where I grew up. But then as far as traffic, I just wanted to comment on, I do feel like this town doesn't prioritize, or the lighting doesn't prioritize residents, because I cross River Road 4 times a day, I think, going there and back, there and back. And I always feel like when I come to a turn light, the locals should have priority turning left on to get off of River Road, because I feel like a sitting duck on River Road when I'm in a turn lane. Traffic is going faster than the speed limit, and I always think, I hope everybody stays in their lane, and I think the left turn lane should be the first thing that happens, not after everybody gets to go. That way the people that are local can get off of that road and let everybody who's traveling go. Anyway, that's it.
Thank you. Is there any additional people that would like to speak? Yes, or one of our youth.
So I actually just came here.
Just again, state your name and your.
Sure.
And do you know which district you're in? I'm not going to ask for your address.
No, you're good. I'm Sam Lappin, and I live in the Highlands neighborhood. And so, as someone pointed out earlier, it's been a lot about the students. And so, I didn't originally come here planning to speak, but then I thought, well, no better than for everyone to hear from a current student. And I was speaking with one of you, and you said, well, 3 of the current city council members are all former Vikings. So I thought it was especially fitting for me to speak. And there's 2 things I'll talk about. The first is the street that everyone's been talking about. So one of my friends, who they don't go to Puyallup High School, but they were there for a tennis game, and they said, look at how many people are crossing the street. I thought school was getting out. And I said, no, that was just people crossing for between 5th and 6th period. There's over 1,900 students at Puyallup High School, as I'm sure my principal who's here right now knows. The amount of people that are crossing over there is like almost unexplainable, to where people think that school's getting out. And so I'm sure people in the neighborhood have concerns as well, but I don't think the solution is to force that many people to cross the open road. And so the second thing I'd like to talk about is the flag. As you pointed out earlier, as a former speaker pointed out earlier, $150,000. To feed one person for a year, it's $40,000. You could feed 5 people for a year. Wouldn't that be enough? Similarly, assuming you would spend a measly $20,000, probably a high estimate on housing, you could house 5 people, almost 15 people for a year. Wouldn't that be enough? And I was already having doubts about hearing about a flag, but then I heard it would be next to a car dealership. And so I know there's nothing more American than a brand new pickup truck, but it makes you wonder, why are we spending $150,000 putting a flag near a car dealership? So I think if we want to talk about honoring veterans, which I'm sure we all love, we all did the Pledge of Allegiance when we walked in here, but I don't think spending $160,000, which could be spent towards food, towards housing, and towards events for the community, should be spent on a flag. And so it's been a lot about the students, and when I look around this room, and no offense to anyone here, I don't see a whole lot of people my age, and so I thought, well, this is my time to speak. And so maybe it's just because I'm a debater at Puyallup High School, maybe that's what motivated me, but I thought these are all really important issues, and I thought it could be relatively uniting for everyone to hear from a current student, not just a former student. Thank you to all the members of the council.
Thank you, Sam. I think you've got a career in politics in your future. Thank you. Is there anybody else? Yes.
Sorry about the hobble. I just recently stopped using a cane. So my name is Dale Hayes, and I'm speaking on a group of property owners that live near 9th and 23rd Avenue Southwest. We're in the ravine area where it's becoming part of what's known Well, I'll get to that in a moment. Our property sits on both sides of a ravine that is considered a protective waterway and part of the critical areas ordinance, which we only heard about on Saturday. We also understand this is the last day to speak about it. We understand we need protected waterways, and wildlife that used to live there needs to have some sort of protection. We are not opposed to any reasonable protection. Under this proposed ordinance, the town is not protecting the ravine. It's not just creating limited buffer around a protected waterway. As we understand it, the town is taking control of our property, from the easement on the backside of most of the houses all the way to the street in the front of our houses. We are losing our land. This is not a small restriction. The ordinance would infect the entire parcel. We have been told this will not affect the homes, but the home takes up less than 1/4 of the land. The rest of property is still ours. We bought it, we maintain it, we pay taxes on it. It has value. We should not lose control of it without compensation. If the town restricts or controls all of our property from the back easement to the street, then the town is taking away the practical use and value our land has without paying for it. The town says this is about protecting water, but there is a new goat farm on 23rd in a residential zoned land area. The land is zoned residential, and it drains directly into this same protected waterway, a salmon run, by the way, yet nothing appears to be done about that. In addition, when the owner of that farm cleared the land and cut down all the trees and plants, eliminating the area where the deer and raccoons have been living, it directly impacted the local habitation. In addition, if this ordinance is truly about protecting waterway and the surrounding critical area, then actual runoff, land clearing, and habitat destruction should be addressed fairly and consistently. Private property owners should not lose control of their entire land while others obviously impacting to the same protected waterway are allowed to continue. We are asking the town to stop the expansion and explain exactly why our property from the back easement to the street is being placed under town control. We need to be explained what rights we would still have and explained why property owners are not being compensated.
Dale, I need to call the time that you've...
Understand, I was at the end of it anyway.
Okay,
so
wrap it up as quickly.
And
Dale, could you give your contact information to the city clerk so that we can be in touch with you?
Yes. I mean, we found out Saturday when a gentleman came through with a card that most of us didn't get with some of this information on it. So it's like we're just hearing about this now.
That's fine, but anyway, give the city clerk your contact information.
Oh, if you have one split second, I have a way for the police to help improve some of the issues with traffic. But I'll talk another time. Sorry.
Are there any other participants? Yes.
My name is Sarah Blakey. I work in downtown Puyallup but do not live within city limits. So am I allowed to make a quick suggestion?
Sure.
Okay, regarding the funding for the potential flagpole, I think it's wonderful to honor our country and to honor our veterans and to honor our future. I would love to see a good portion of that money going towards permanent supportive housing for homeless veterans.
Thank you. And we had another. Come forward.
My name's Kyler Degner, son of Jessica Degner, who just spoke earlier. I live on 2nd Avenue. we really need sidewalks. I'm just gonna say it bluntly. Like I live on 2nd Avenue, and I'm not allowed to walk out of a house because my mother's afraid I'm gonna get hit. Not allowed to walk my dogs. Not allowed to go ride a bike. Not allowed to really do anything, because my mother's afraid that I'm gonna get hit because of the lack of safety that's in that neighborhood. I originally wasn't planning on speaking today. Thank you for inspiring me to come up. But yeah, I'm gonna say it bluntly, we need sidewalks, we need safety measures. I want to be able to go walk my dogs around the neighborhood. Thank you.
Thank you, Kyle. Any additional citizen comments? Okay. We will move on to the resolutions. And we'll have an informational presentation thank you. I jumped over the consent agenda. The consent agenda is matters that are non-controversial and generally are unanimously approved. So we offer our council members the opportunity to pull anything off of that. Is there any item on our consent agenda that we would like moved to a discussion item? Seeing none.
Mr. Mayor, I have my...
Oh, I was looking down, not at the thing. Councilmember Adler.
Thank you. Request to pull 4B for presentation discussion.
Okay, item 4B, we will move that down to other business and make it 7B. Okay, so the remaining items are 4A, C, and D. Do we have a motion to approve those consent items?
Motion to approve?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Okay, now we will move forward with the resolutions, and we'll have City Engineer Hans Unger give us a presentation on a petition to vacate Main Street between 6th Street and 7th Street Southwest and all of 7th Street Northwest between West Main and 2nd Avenue Northwest.
Thank you, Mayor. Hans Unger, City Engineer. I'm going to introduce this topic, but just going over kind of the process for the street vacations. Street vacations can be initiated either by the city or by a citizen or an entity in the city, but it is dictated by RCWs on how we approach them. So the process that we're going through tonight is really setting the public hearing, which requires a certain number of days, 20 days of public notice. We're doing that. At that point, then our plan is to hold a public hearing on June 2nd if council wants to, does want to set that. At that point, then there'll be more time for input from citizens there. The timing on this also, the city staff have worked closely with the school district on what type of improvements need to be done around the school. So when the resolution is approved, it will be approved with conditions that those improvements be done. And so even though we may pass the street vacation, it won't be recorded until those improvements are completed to the city's satisfaction. And then once, so if we have the second reading on June 16th, even though we are approving this, it won't be recorded until those improvements are done. And then once the improvements are done and gone through the permitting process and actually constructed, then we will record it, the street vacation at a separate time. So with that, unless somebody has any questions for me, I want to turn it over to Brian Devereaux, the Director of Facilities Planning with the Puyallup School District.
Good evening, Mayor Whitting and fellow council members. Habits are hard to break. When I saw former Mayor Castema, it just came out. But thank you for the opportunity to present tonight. My name is Brian Devereaux, and I serve as the facilities planner for the Puyallup School District. Tonight it is my pleasure to provide a summary of the work that has led to the district's petition to vacate a portion of roadway adjacent to Puyallup High School. Located at 105 7th Street Southwest, Puyallup High School is a long-standing institution, founded in 1890. Today's 15-acre campus includes many property additions over the years. This history includes several street vacations, with the most recent completed in 1998 along a portion of the West Main located between the school's main building to the south and the gym and swimming pool building to the north. Like today, these past street vacations were considered in the interest of student safety as our community has grown. Even with this history of expansion, the campus is challenged to provide the same amenities provided at other comprehensive high schools due to its limited footprint. The genesis of the road closure proposal dates to October 2023, when the district submitted a conditional use permit to demolish the Library Science Art Building due to its poor condition. The CUP application not only included the demolition of the building, but also the addition of 6 portable classrooms next to a pod of 9 existing portable classrooms located west of the gym and of 7th Street Northwest. The portable classroom addition allowed the school to mitigate for some, but not all of the space that was lost with the LSA building demolition. During the CUP review process, city and district staff discussed the need to improve pedestrian safety of students and staff traveling between the main campus and the portables, particularly with the greater demand of pedestrian crossings throughout the day due to the portable addition. In July 2024, the city approved the district's CUP application with conditions. The conditions included implementing a temporary street closure along a portion of West Main and 7th Street Northwest with traffic analysis required to study the post-road closure conditions. Following months of community engagement, the temporary road closure pilot began on December 23rd, 2024. The district's traffic consultant, Heffron Transportation, completed its post-closure data collection and traffic analysis, followed by a vicinity safety assessment report. Following months of city review and coordination, the district moved forward with its request for consideration of a permanent street closure via the street vacation petition submitted last month. The pilot study confirmed that closing 7th Street Northwest enhanced student safety by eliminating vehicle and pedestrian conflicts between the portables and the main campus. Additionally, the road closure provides a more cohesive, secure campus and provides greater flexibility in future school planning. The district submitted its petition to make the street closure permanent to maintain these benefits. This next slide shows the location of the new portable classroom buildings that became operational in January 2025. Community engagement has been an integral part of this process. Following the CUP approval that included a public hearing with the city's hearing examiner, the district held 2 community meetings in August of 2024 at Puyallup High School. These meetings were well attended and provided 2-hour-long sessions of information and community feedback. An additional community open house was held in October 2024 before the temporary road closure began later that December. In 2025, the district presented twice to the City Council and held an additional community open house at Puyallup High School focused on the post-road closure traffic analysis and vicinity safety assessment. In addition to these formal meeting opportunities, district staff have met with community members individually upon request and provided project information through its district website and social media channels. Through this process, there has been meaningful discussion and updates to the plan. For example, the district expanded its original traffic study area based on community feedback. The district is also proposing residential parking permit changes near PHS, a recommendation I'll cover in an upcoming slide. Furthermore, the district reduced the original road closure area following the August 2024 community meetings. This traffic plan map shows the temporary road closure area along a portion of West Main and 7th Street Northwest in red. The original proposal extended the road closure area to 3rd Avenue Northwest, 1 block further than what exists currently. After hearing from the community, together with coordination with city officials, the road closure area was reduced. The traffic map also shows the location of student and staff parking, designated parent pickup and drop-off zones, as well as school bus loading zones. Several traffic and parking-related recommendations have been identified by the district's traffic consultant following its post-road closure study. The first is to maximize use of school parking lots. In response to this recommendation, school leadership has increased the allocation of parking permits to reduce the number of unused stalls due to the student absences. The second is to create student and family drop-off and pickup instructions. Currently, PHS provides information to families on its website and through email correspondence. These efforts will continue to be built upon moving forward. The third is monitoring curb use, which includes recommendations on the next slide. The following recommendations include 3 proposed changes to curb use adjacent to Puyallup High School. The first includes changing the east half of 3rd Avenue Northwest, north of the softball field, from loading zone to 8-hour parking. The district and the city created this loading zone for the pilot closure, but observed primarily the west half of the block is used for loading. The second recommendation is to create a school bus loading zone on the east side of 7th Street Northwest, closest to the gym building. The third is to provide a 50-foot overflow area on the north side of West Main near the southern closure terminus. Last but not least, based on the community feedback from the district's October 2025 open house, the district is recommending a reduction of current residential permit parking areas west of the school campus from 4 to 2 hours to more effectively preserve on-street parking for residents. The proposed street vacation will require future easements to be written and approved for utilities within the road closure area. This would be needed not only for city utilities like water and sewer, but also for franchise utilities for power, gas, and communication. Emergency vehicle access will also be maintained. Primary conclusions from the post-road closures traffic study and vicinity safety assessment include: the pilot street closure has substantially improved student safety before, during, and after school by eliminating vehicle and pedestrian conflicts between the main campus and portable buildings. The traffic report found no adverse impacts to traffic, travel speeds, or parking due to the closure. While traffic increased along certain sections of roadway like 8th Street Northwest, traffic has also decreased in other areas like West Pioneer and 7th Street Southwest. This was an intersection identified by community members early in the process with concerns, while traffic surrounding Puyallup High School remains within acceptable levels as determined by the city's level of service standards. The district is prepared to make certain street improvements as a condition of approval. Before I show the proposed permanent street plan, are there any questions I should address now?
You can complete and we'll direct
thank
questions then.
All right. So I apologize, this is a little challenging to read from the room here, but I'm going to talk to this slide a little bit. The district and city staff have worked collaboratively to develop a street improvement plan within the resources available. The concept plan is a draft and subject to full civil design. The plan can be categorized in 2 parts: intersection improvements at each end of the road closure and improvements to 8th Street Northwest. The plan for 8th Street Northwest includes half-street improvements along the east side of 8th between West Main and 2nd Avenue Northwest. The proposal would upgrade this area of unimproved shoulder with sidewalk, planter strip, curb, gutter, street lighting, and rebuild half the street. The intersection at West Main and 8th Street benefits from the traffic calming and a reduced pedestrian crossing distance for those traveling north-south. Curb bulbs are proposed at the southeast and northeast corner of 8th Street Northwest and 2nd Avenue Northwest, also providing traffic calming and shorter pedestrian crossing routes. The missing sidewalk gap on the south side of 2nd Avenue Northwest would also be constructed. At 7th Street Southwest and West Main, the design includes an updated turning radius to provide greater visibility, crosswalks, intersection lighting, sidewalks, and landscaping that would include a permanent gate for emergency vehicle and maintenance access. At 2nd Avenue Northwest and 7th Street Northwest, similar intersection improvements would be included together with a diagonal crosswalk area that matches pedestrian movements of students walking between the school and the student parking lot areas. Potential milestones for this work to move forward include submittal of the civil construction permit for the permanent road closure improvements by January of 2027. Issuance of the civil construction permit by April of 2027, and construction completion by September 2027 in advance of the 27-28 school year. Puyallup High School administration is also committed to promoting good neighbor practices through its student engagement plan. School principals have identified the following steps in their planning for the 26-27 school year. Feature expectations for respecting community values at the beginning of each semester and during the parking permit application process. Engage student media channels, including the Viking News Network, VNN, and the Puyallup Vanguard to provide educational media to help promote this message. And finally, include good neighbor reminders during daily announcements. This concludes the presentation tonight. Our team is happy to answer any questions the council may have.
Deputy Mayor Johnson.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thanks, Brian. I have a question for Hans. I'm going to defer to him to take the podium. And then maybe, Hans, if you don't know this answer, I'll defer to City Manager Steve Kirkley if he knows. When this street vacation project came up, it's my understanding that there was a request to, if we can get that one slide, can we go back up to that slide that he had that showed this right here, right there. When they first requested a vacation, I understand they requested also that it would be vacated both of those blocks. So the block that's currently under consideration now, as well as the one that's one block north. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay.
Yes.
So there was a reason for that. And I understand that there might have been some resistance by council or some concerns by council that caused that to perhaps pedal back to just one block. Is that, I think, kind of a thought of where that landed?
That is my understanding.
Okay. I'm listening to everyone. I think everyone in this whole side of the issue is on the same court. We want safety all the way around. There's nobody here saying we don't want safety for the students. And there's nobody here that says we don't want safety for the residents who live in the area. I don't hear any of that. But it sounds to me like we're in danger of saying us versus them and that we can only accomplish pleasing one. I want to say for the record that we can and we will and we should look out for the safety of the students as well as the residents. We don't have to have one or the other, and there is a way forward. When I saw that time-lapse video, which I understand probably is not here tonight, right? Correct. Yeah, and I requested that by the city manager, and that should have been here tonight. I did request that. Was that requested, Steve?
You did ask me yesterday.
And that's not here tonight.
Yep.
Okay, so I don't know where that fell through, but we should see that again, and I'm going to request that we see that again on that before we even decide on this issue. That was a study that was done. We saw students going across like termites and ants. There was all kinds of stuff happening through time lapse, okay? That's a real issue, okay? Why that wasn't here tonight, and it wasn't here on the last presentation either, and I requested at that time too. That's twice I've asked for it, one publicly and then one prior to this meeting. It hasn't come up to the public review again. I am going to recommend to my colleagues, every one of you here, that we not pass this resolution as it stands now. I will not, we should not pit this one way or the other. I think if we're going to do this, we do it right. I actually think that if it's about public safety, we should actually go ahead and make this vacation all the way up to 3rd and do it with originally what the school had in mind. But before we even consider doing that, or before we consider doing this one here right at 2nd, we make sure there's mitigation for that neighborhood to make sure that they are safe and they've got sidewalks and provisions to do that. Right now, if we do it now, it's a half-assed job. You're going to piss some people off, and we haven't got to the point where it's really solving the problem. So I am nowhere going to support this as it is, because I think it is done halfway. I'm going to recommend we vote no on this until the city sits down with the Puyallup School District and says, hey, if we decide to vacate all the way up to 3rd, like was initially presented, and we come up with a mitigation plan that's going to have some safety issues with sidewalks all the way up and down there, with some traffic mitigation, and even if I understand the school is going through some budget issues, I get that. But if we are really players as a city with a entity of the school district, we can partner together to find ways to cost mitigate those expenses that you will have to put in those safety measures on there. We'll find a way to do that, and I have some ideas on that. But council, I cannot, in good faith, do a half job at this when I don't think we fully looked at the mitigation safety measures for the residents living up and down 8th, while still recommending safety for the students crossing over. When I heard the student who attends tonight give a testimony of how he felt that safety issue going across with that street closure has improved even in that one area, I'm thinking, well, okay, great. They can go from the PSA, the gym over to the portables safely, but what about coming off the ball field, going over to the parking lot? You've now got that all kind of opened up and potentially dangerous, people coming down 7th and turning over. So to me, if we're going to do it, let's do it right. If we're going to do it right, let's make sure that when we do it right, that we're making sure that people on 8th Street are safe and able to be protected. So I'm going to vote and make a motion that we vote to not pass this resolution, but to have city staff sit down with the school board and the residents to come up with a plan to fully vacate 7th Street, make sure there's provisions in that's satisfactory to the residents to have public safety there, and then we go through with a motion. Right now, there's no way I can get behind this. And so I make a motion right now to reject this until further study.
So I'd just like to clarify a little bit, Hans. Before we go further on this, we are not approving a street vacation tonight, correct?
It's a resolution.
We are not. The resolution is just setting the public hearing for this.
So the public hearing is designed to get public input like we've had tonight here in this body, do a more extensive, give the public a more extensive opportunity to weigh in on this and see what the outcome is. Is that correct?
That is correct, although, in the notification and portraying to the public, this is what is being proposed, I would say there is some caution to going forward with the public hearing if we are changing the limits of the closure.
And Mr. Mayor, that's why a motion is to reject this resolution until we address the full vacation of 7th and then figure out a way for a complete satisfaction of street improvements and traffic mitigation. We can and we should do both. And right now it's halfway, and there's no way we can get behind it. The little extra time to have city staff work with the Puyallup School District should be talked about, and I can't in good faith go forward with this. So I have a motion on the floor. Mr. Mayor, I'd like to see if there's appetite for a second. Is there a second?
A point of procedure, Mr. Mayor.
Yes.
I have a question. The proposal is here, the resolution is to approve something. So all you have to do is just not approve it. I mean, to make a motion to not do something when all you have to do is just not do it. It's rather redundant. So I think the issue is, do we pass the resolution for a public hearing or not?
Point taken.
If I could speak to that, though.
Well, let's move on and have some discussion. Councilmember Gilliam?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. My concerns are more aimed to the Puyallup School District, more specifically Puyallup High School. I'm looking at your Puyallup High School student engagement plan. If you want to switch back to the slide, everybody can see what I'm looking at on my screen. In September and January, grade level assemblies will be emphasizing expectations for respecting community values. It goes on to list what those are. Emphasizing expectations in parking permit application process, Viking News Network, Vanguard, including good neighbor reminders, daily announcements. I'm a teacher in the Puyallup School District as well, and I know we can't police the kids before and after school. I get that, but I'm just curious, has the Puyallup High School specifically, have you guys partnered with the Puyallup Police Department to come up with any activity with the kids, being a part of the assemblies? The last time you guys came and talked to us, you showed us a picture of kids in a portable, and there were only 4 that had voice on how to engage with their peers to actually create some values from the school to support and be respectful to the community. Did you guys do anything more after that?
So the forced student exercise was a design charrette. It wasn't necessarily an engagement opportunity for the school to be focused on good neighbor qualities. It was kind of a different exercise. But what I can tell you is that following our our November presentation, I had a chance to meet with our high school principal team, and we started talking about, what can we do as a high school and as a school district, and where are our limitations. We feel like this is a really good starting point, but this doesn't necessarily need to be the end. Yeah. If there are more good solutions to help us move forward, I know our team would be open to that. I really like the idea of partnering with Puyallup Police, who actually have authority to write tickets and to enforce traffic. We don't have the ability to enforce traffic along the curbs.
Right.
Enforcement, we're not given that authority off district property. So I'm hearing your comment, and again, this is a starting point. It doesn't need to be the end.
Yeah. I'm just going to share my own opinion. I think that we can absolutely hold a high expectation of our students. And I think more than announcements, it needs to be part of a routine created in the school on how to act in public spaces. But also, I think what I'd really love to see, of course, is more police officers connecting and supporting and being in hot spots. Wow, I had a really good thought. And then, of course, as I'm trying to make sure and cover all the bases, I lost it. I'd like to see improvement before we agree to close the streets. I want to see kids' behavior change in the community before we agree to vacate. That's what I'd like to see as a standard. That's my very forward thought there. Thank you.
Councilmember Smolko.
Thank you, Mayor Whitting. I think between now and June 2nd, or whenever we end up holding this public hearing, there needs to be some sort of community liaison program established, which is what I'm hearing. I think what I'm hearing Councilmember Johnson speak to is that true partnership where all stakeholders need to be at that table: students, neighborhood, staff, admin, police, us, city staff, whomever. And to comment like Councilmember Gilliam did, I'm also a public school educator in the Bethel School District, and that high school engagement plan is a throwaway. I know that the biggest threat to education today, in my opinion, is a failure to hold the right people accountable for student success, both academic and behavioral. And I think we do and we can teach all day what to do, but when things are not done that way, there is a supreme lack of accountability. Not just here, not just today, but I think in education across the board. And so I would like to see that we address data points like number of parking, speeding, stop sign ignoring, and littering citations, how many have been given, issued, et cetera. Parking and driving is a privilege, not a right. So I'd like to hear more about, are there incentives for bus riding, walking, carpooling, surveillance cameras, trash receptacles, protected pedestrian plans, increased traffic enforcement. There's some more thinking outside the box to be done on this with the right people at the right table. But ultimately, it's the student's responsibility to do the right thing, and it's our responsibility as adults to enforce that. They have to be taught.
Councilmember Adler.
Thank you. So I think, similar to what my colleagues have said, we can walk and chew gum at the same time. And so, first of all, I'm just going to say that I do support the closure, whatever it looks like, whether it maintains as it is right now, if we expand it. I've told this story before. I graduated from Puyallup High School in 2007. A classmate of mine was struck on 7th my sophomore year. So this is very real. One student getting hurt is one too many. And so I think that, you know, what you have presented here shows good faith effort, and I appreciate that, but we have some more work to do. I think that the city itself has a lot more work to do related to traffic throughout the city. The onus is not, you know, the problem does not just exist around PHS, and the onus is not on the school district to fix the traffic, but the onus is to be a good partner, and I think that you have demonstrated that, but I think we have some way to go. So, you know, I just want to be really clear on that. I think that our city is really wrestling with a traffic problem. And some of it is, I mean, a lot of it is also around our schools. Many of them are in our neighborhoods, so it's a unique challenge that we have. And there is not one silver bullet, for as much as I do not like using that term, to fix it all. So partnerships is really important. You know, the engagement plan here is great. A little concerning to me that PPD hasn't really been involved with that. Outside of PPD being involved in developing this plan, what is the engagement like with the school district and PPD or the high school itself related to the challenges that we're hearing from residents in the area? Is that, do you all meet frequently?
I can't, so I know our principal team could probably speak more to this. I'm not part of those direct conversations in my role, so I don't want to make a comment that I'm not educated on at this point.
Does anyone else wish to comment?
Yeah.
Mr. Sunich, right?
Yeah. Hello. I'm Dave Sunich, the principal, and we have a dedicated Puyallup Police Department officer, SRO. He's a part of our team. He's on campus every day. He sees the students. He knows the students. He knows where they park, what vehicles they drive. I think we have a great partnership and know who our kids are. I heard a lot of comments talking about how kids are terrible drivers. A lot of the examples are not even students. It's a city. There are good student drivers, there are bad student drivers. There are good adult drivers and bad adult drivers. And to try to say that all of this traffic issue is related to a road closure. I've been the principal there for 11 years. These same things happened on day one when I was the principal there. Some of them have been students, some of them have not been students. So yeah, we are happy to work with the police. We're happy to work with the neighbors. We're responsive when they call with concerns, and we try to address individuals. We try to address the whole group proactively. But we're happy to work with people and try to come up with a workable solution.
Thank you. I appreciate those comments. I would just say I would be interested then to see data on weekends versus during the week when school's in session, to your point.
Yeah.
And I agree with you. drivers are drivers, and all drivers utilize the roads in the area. But I would be interested then in seeing some type of data someday. I mean, I'm not assigning anyone
For
to
sure.
this, but I'm just saying I would be interested in that. I think the last two things I'll say, so how often are we meeting with students? Are we talking about this? How often are we involving, Renaissance, Viking ladies, and knights, ASB officers, class officers? How often is that conversation going specific to this closure, also challenges in traffic and parking, et cetera? I have anecdotally heard that, obviously tonight from our students appreciate the closure, and of course staff and faculty. I anecdotally have also heard that, the closure is also utilized for, cross country and other sports, but also just playtime or downtime in that area, which I think is really important too, and that's a great resource to have. But I'm curious on how that engagement, how often that's happening with students.
I would say as holistically with student leader groups to talk about those sorts of things, up to this point, not very often. But that is a commitment we could make. If it is important to everybody and that's something we need to focus on, then we absolutely will.
Thank you. The last thing I'll say is I appreciate the Deputy Mayor Johnson's comments. I am in agreement with very much of what he said. I think a pretty big concern I have is about enforcement. And I don't know what the answer is to that, but I have a really big concern about enforcement. Thank you.
Before you leave, I just had a couple of questions about those portables.
Yeah.
How many of those portables are actually classrooms? We've heard that there's a trainer over on that side of the street. Or how many of those portables are actually classrooms?
Yeah, so one that was referred to as the trainer is part of our sports medicine program, so it's part of the sports med classroom. They're all classroom capable. Right now we have 3 that don't currently have students in them every period of the day. So we use them for testing spaces, when we need to relocate a classroom. And then we know coming into next year, we're going to have some additional classrooms that are going to need to start filling in those spaces. So they just have provided us a little bit of extra space since the demolition of the library science art building.
So what's the total number of portables over there?
There are 15 portables, and so at this point, 12 of them are used every period of the day.
And average class
Average
size?
30.
So we've got hundreds and hundreds of students
Yeah,
crossing that.
several hundred
crossing
kids
that street
every
day.
55 minutes.
Yeah,
crossing
so I don't
road.
think there's any question that we need to vacate that street. The question is how do we make it the safest for everybody?
For sure.
So Councilmember King.
Thank you very much. I do want to echo a lot of what I guess this can be to both of you.
Okay.
A lot of what my colleagues have spoke here tonight. It's traffic, 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 and more traffic. Anywhere we go in this city, there's traffic during peak times, and we're fully aware of that. And I think as a city, we try to do our best at what we can do to mitigate. But I do believe that we can also coexist in this project and endeavor that we want to make sure that our students are safe. I think that's what this plea is for. I also believe that we can achieve being a good neighbor. And with that, I kind of go back to by mitigating the traffic around this new area that has occurred over this past year or two. What does that quality of life look like for our neighbors around that area? And I've seen the map and I've seen the studies that you talk about, and thank you for pulling that up. And I'm in agreement with Deputy Mayor Johnson regarding, the potential addition of vacating 7th Street further north to 3rd. However, the improvements that are happening around that area are only happening on the east side of 8th Street Northwest. It is my recommendation to the council and to everyone here that the entire street, if we are to move forward, to be retrofitted, if you will, improved on both sides of the street to make quality of life better for those on the other side, on the west side of 8th, and being able to improve their quality of life, having fully paved streets, brand new. I mean, this is a whole campus improvement project, and we have to make sure that the neighbors that are nearby are adequately taken care of and made sure that they have a clean street, a safe street, a speed-controlled street, whether we mitigate through speed bumps or small roundabouts or whatever that looks like. Let's work through that. I don't think that's a big ask for the amount of real estate that you are wanting to acquire from the city. Let's make those that are around the high school, their quality of life better by simply just doing the necessary improvements that are needed that not only help them, but it also helps the campus as a whole. Drivers come through our city, I think we can all agree, in all different abilities. So some are great, some are not so great. It happens. So I think additional studies need to be done. I believe that we need to work something out that we can make sure that the entire street on both sides are adequately refurbished, brought to what kind of standard you are portraying here on the east side of the street, on the campus side. Let's do it on the citizen side as well. And so that way all of those homes and that entire street looks nice and welcoming and brings some safety aspect to that for both sides, not just one side. Let's be a good neighbor about it. That's my opinion, and I hope council can see where I'm going with that. Thank you.
Councilmember Castema.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I have no problem this evening just passing on a resolution setting a public hearing at this moment, and council members can take time and think of other proposals and discuss many of these ideas. But I caution people on supporting any expansion of any vacation. This has been worked on extensively, and for the following reasons. Number one, it'll triple the costs. I know we want to do a lot of improvements throughout that entire neighborhood, but keep in mind, the school district is responsible for accommodating the safety that's associated with the vacation. They're not associated with doing other things that maybe aesthetically look good, that maybe people have wanted but aren't directly safety related. So if we do that, if we do in fact do both sides and do all of these other issues, the city will have to pay too. So keep that in mind, that that would be an effort that you couldn't put entirely on the city. And vacating those other additional streets would, by simple math of looking at the cost square footage of vacation, again, triple the cost. Number two, the parking lot that those two streets would service, it's a parking lot. Kids will cross the street in the morning, cross the street in the afternoon. We're not talking about a street right now that where the current vacation is, where hundreds, if not thousands, of crossings take place in a single day. You have you will have 15 different portables with 30 students in each one of them. Every period, 7 periods crossing back and forth. That is a lot different than those 2 additional streets that you are discussing. And that is why my third point is that the neighborhood and the district came together as a compromise because they considered this to be a low-hanging fruit. Well, the district said, well, we really don't have any classrooms there, so the essential part that we need to vacate is the one across from the, right in front of the gymnasium. Not the ball field, not the parking lot. And that's where we squared up on what we have. And the neighbors wanted that because the neighborhood did not want to vacate all those other streets because that would even complicate things more. Finally, I would say on the engagement plan, we as council members should just come up with metrics. And that is, you look at those engagement plans, and if it says that students will be better drivers, more courteous, et cetera, I think we have to devise performance metrics of what that actually means. And when we feel those performance measures are met, that's one of the conditions of vacation. Just like all the traffic mitigation proposals that have put forward, unless they're done, there is no vacation. They don't get a certificate of vacation. So it's just that we have to take what we expect out of those different aspects of the engagement plan and put them into actual tangible performance measures. So again, I have no problem just passing on this resolution tonight, okay? And we can all think about it more, but I will not step forward though and say vacate it all, because I think that opens up a whole new can of worms that the school district will have to spend probably a lot more money just paying for the square footage, by the way, of those streets, because it's a property of the city. That costs us money, costs taxpayers dollars. And if we're going to give them to another public entity, we have to do that at a fair price. So that will add additional costs. And I think, and I'm not saying that it won't happen, but I'm just saying let's be very cautious. And keep in mind, we have gotten to where we are at right now through a lot of careful thought with the neighbors, with the school district, and with a budget and traffic engineers, et cetera. So let's not do things too hastily. And again, I will gladly just pass on this resolution this evening. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Deputy Mayor Johnson.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So I've heard a lot of comments. I hear some support by my rationale that was mentioned by at least several of you. I do want to respond back with a few more questions before we perhaps see if there's a second for that motion. When I saw that video that showed the students going across in time lapse, it wasn't just in that section between the portables and the gym, it was also up in the ball field to the parking lot. That's a fact, and that's why I asked to see that again. And we should see that again if in fact we're contemplating. If we're going to do safety, let's do safety all the way and not half. I might even agree with you that perhaps the bulk of the students crossing between the gymnasium and the portables is maybe higher, but it's certainly not greatly diminished on the upper half, the north side between the ball field and the parking lot where I probably imagine students are parking. So that's an issue. It was mentioned about safety. Anybody with common sense is going to tell you that's why the school came and asked for vacation of both blocks. They know that both are a safety issue, but as I understand and confirmed with Hans, the council at that point didn't have an appetite for it, so they pulled back to vacate just the one. But we can't ignore the fact they initially asked for that. So I think that's a huge issue. In terms of, I agree with Councilmember King. You know, there's a pinch point here, and everyone that lives on 8th Street, you are going to be affected by the diversion of traffic going around. We know that's a pain point. So if there's going to be a pain point, if in fact this is going to go through, which I think it should go for both blocks, and we're going to pinch it, then I agree with him that we should have safety in the neighborhood. And I do think that it's not just student safety, but it's resident safety with curbs and sidewalks that would have some kind of a curb on both sides of the street all the way down 8th. Now, the question is, I want to know, and I hope you came with these numbers. What was the, can we pull up that screen again showing this second to last frame showing the sidewalks and the turnabouts, wherever that was? Okay, so this, on 8th Street, on the lower portion, the southern portion, what is the approximate cost to construct that to the school district on that sidewalk and curb there?
We're talking about a portion of what's proposed? Or?
Well, the green there on the 8th Street side, not the crosswalk over here and not that little curb, but just this whole section there where you see the sidewalks there and the curbs on these, I guess it would be the east side of 8th. What's the cost on that?
$1 million.
$1 million.
We're 1.6 for everything you see right now.
1.6, okay. The question I would ask, and this is where, I'm just going to put it out there. We can partner with the school district. The school district is a public entity. We are a public entity. I would recommend that if we look at closing both, all the way up 7th, that we talk about some kind of, what do we, if we vacate the street, Hans or Steve, what is the hypothetical that the entity, the school district, would pay to the city for closing the street? What's the income they would get from that?
I think the fair market value of the right-of-way that would be vacated in their proposal is $375,000. I'm going from memory. Brian, is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay, so $375,000 is the fair market value that the district would have to pay the city for the proposed vacated portion of 7th Street.
Yeah. You know, here's a hypothetical scenario. Does the city need that money, or can we partner and say, listen, we'll take that 375 and we vacate the other one that's roughly $750,000 to say, we'll give that to school to provide the improvements up and down 8th for curbs and gutters on both sides. What do we need the money for? If we're truly a partner, it's one public entity to another public entity. We're providing safety for your students, we're providing safety for the residents. Why couldn't we propose that? What do we need? We've done that before. We've had projects where we have, in a sense, donated for $1 to a public-private entity to make. We did that for this condo over here, if I recall right. So why would we entertain? We know the school is short on money. We understand your budget crunches. We don't want you to pay out more than you have to. But why couldn't the city partner with you and say, you know, we'll take that money that we would normally give for vacation and, in a sense, put that into improvements for the people along 8th Street so they can have curbs and gutters and sidewalks, ease the budget constraint, and then maybe even talk about some timelines of phasing it in, you know, maybe at some point down the road, the full deal. I don't know. But this is what I'm saying. I don't think we can, in good faith, move this resolution tonight without studying this and finding out where can we work together between the residents, the city, and the school and the police department to figure out ways to mitigate and make it safe and do the whole thing correctly. So again, I'm going to make a motion. I've already made a motion that we reject this resolution and in turn ask staff to meet with the school district to come up with some plans on how we could work together to partner and help even fund this through some of the proceeds going back into the school for street improvements along 8th Street. And then get in contact with the police department to make sure that we can mitigate traffic and slow that down with some enforcement. And if that means we need to put in some speeding cameras, I don't care. Let's find a way to make it pinch and hurt for those who are making it uncomfortable to make sure that, but also make sure that our students are safe on both sides of 7th, not just one side of 7th, and then make sure that the residents living along 8th Street have a safe deal with curbs and gutters and sidewalks as well. I would highly petition my colleagues to reject this. Let's go back to the tables and before we go into public hearing on something that is not ready for baking, why are we looking at that? So that's a motion. I'm passionate about it because I believe it's the right thing to do. Could we get by with the other? Sure, but to me it seems kind of half-baked. Why mess around? We're this far, let's do it right.
I'm going to weigh in a little bit here. I'm not in favor of vacating the northern stretch of 7th. I just look at the numbers and if we've got, I'll use the max number of 15 portables out there, 30 kids a portable, that's 450 kids and 7 times a day, that's about 3,000 people crossing the street. And I look at that upper area and how many parking places do we have in that northern parking lot? And you have 250, so we've got 250 students and how many of them are headed for the ball field? I don't think very many. They're headed for the portables or they're headed for the main campus, not to the ball fields. You might have 9 at a time go play ball. So the number of people that need to cross that are apt to jaywalk there between the parking lot and the ball field, I think is going to be relatively few. And I think they should be redirected down to the vacated portion of 7th so to cross, and I don't think that would be problematic for anybody. So I don't support the idea of a further vacation there as I think about it. You know, I appreciate the work that the school district has done in looking at some of the streets and gutters and so forth, and it seems like this is going to be an improvement. I am sensitive to my colleagues' concerns about moving this forward without really having a finished product here. So I feel like there's a lot of work done in a lot of conversations to get it to this point. So I'm a little bit like Councilmember Castema in thinking that I was anticipating pushing this forward to the public hearing stage tonight. You know, I'm not sure after the amount of time and effort that's been put into this project that we're going to see something coming out of it that's much different than what we've got. So I think I'm in favor of pushing it forward, as is Councilmember Castema. Councilmember Adler.
Thank you. The end of your comments there was getting to just procedural questions that I have. So city attorney, city manager, if I'm looking, what I'm trying to process is a place between now, if the resolution moves forward, and the public hearing on June 2nd or what have you. And, you know, related to my own and many of my colleagues' concerns and the dialogue that has taken place tonight, what is the mechanism in which, if this resolution moves forward, work goes on, how do we then, how does the public get an update on what that has been or what that is ahead of the public hearing? Does that make sense?
Yes, it does. I think that if there's, are you asking if there would be any, because there's been a lot. So there's been a lot said, right? So I'm just trying to narrow it so I understand.
Sure.
So in terms of dialogue, say between, an update on the dialogue that has occurred between, say, the police department and the school district, absolutely, we can update you on that. If it's dialogue on further vacation than what is proposed, I mean, if council directs that, we can certainly explore that, right? But we probably wouldn't between now and the public hearing unless council tells us to do that. So those are the types of things we certainly can update on, but the focus between now and the public hearing would be to prepare what you see in front of you for a public hearing and an ordinance that would come before you. Did that answer your question, or
yes,
get in the ballpark?
Yes, thank you. As I said, you know, for me, the vacating of the street, I am in support of that. You know, I think that there's conversation to be had about the expansion or increase of the vacating, but what I don't want to have not captured is the conversations that happen between now and the public hearing. So I guess really my question is this: will another presentation be held before the public hearing, which will hopefully reflect some of the work? Councilmember Castema is losing it, so why don't you go ahead if the mayor obliges.
Councilman-
For procedural, I mean, I'm really trying to get to the heart of that, if the
Council-
mayor obliges.
Councilmember Castaner.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. We can proceed with the public hearing. Nothing prevents us from having a public hearing, and we'll hear the public.
Right.
We determine if we vote on the resolution at that time for vacation, or if we say, we're not going to vote on it. It's just a public hearing where we hear from the public what their thoughts are, but we don't have to pass that resolution. And even if we, at that point, we can, in fact, Councilmember Johnson can say, well, I want to come forward with a different proposal, and I want to vacate all of that. I mean, the public hearing and then the end point, we determine all of those things. Correct me if I'm wrong, Joe. I'm right. Well, that's what you were saying, correct? Yeah, well, you shook your head no, and I thought, well, I said a negative, you countered that, and that's a positive. I get it. But the point is that we can proceed with the public hearing, but just keep in mind, we can do a lot of work after that, the council. We can come up with, let's vacate this, let's vacate that. We determine when the final vote is and what is voted on finally. I just think that this proposal would go out there and you would have a public hearing and you'd have the opportunity to hear what people say about it before you come up with alternatives, for example. I hope that helps. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Mr. Mayor, can I just put a cap on my? Thank you.
Go ahead, Councilmember Adler.
So thank you, Councilmember Castema. I am very aware that, we hold the keys per se. What I just want to capture and what I am concerned about in this interim between now and the public hearing is that I just want to make sure that we continue to share with the public what those discussions are, or what and receive an update from the school district on what conversations have been happening. So that's all I care about, is that just to keep the conversation going. Thank you.
Councilmember Gilliam.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just want to go on the record and say I'm in full support of this closure. But I will cause a speed bump for you because I want to see accountability for the students before I put my approval to fully vacate. I would like to see an action plan, not an action plan, forgive me. I'd like to see action. Come up with a plan. Hopefully it's effective. We see some improvement. I want to see the kids hold each other accountable. I want to see, more than announcements, like a student-led thing. I don't know if it's all club action. Maybe you create like an assembly day where everybody's going to go out and pick up trash in the community, or maybe you do it once a month. Something that shows Puyallup High School cares about their neighbors and they're actively going out and hey guys, we're going to go on a tour of our community today. See this stop sign? You have to stop. See this officer? He's going to write you a ticket, right? Like if it has to be that level, just something to say, you guys, we have to take ownership over our behavior. We have to be good for our neighbors. It has to be something before I'm going to be like, okay, let's go. I just need to see some action from the students. So neighbors, just so you know, I want you also to report back on reaching out to the school. I want you to find ways to serve the students. It's not just complain, it's how do you show up for the school? In order for good neighbors it has to go both ways. How do we love our kids? How do we love our neighbors? So I'd like to see more community connection before I say, yeah, let's go ahead and close that street. Thank you.
Okay, we've gone around a couple of times, and I think we've probably said most of what we need to say. I'm going to give Deputy Mayor one short bite of the apple.
Sure, thank you, Mayor. I also heard, that from Hans and from Steve twice, that certainly as council we can change this along the process, but if we pass it the way that it is now, it would be going with the parameters of this vacation and the details of what's before us. What's been brought up tonight by several council members is a potential expansion that should be talked about, a potential additional funding that could be forwarded to the school district by the city, a potential larger improvement of street safety on both sides of 8th. So if we're moving forward with this already half-baked deal, it's not doing due process for a full-baked concept without further study. Hence, I'm saying, let's reject this. Let's get staff to come up with some innovative ideas to perhaps look at cost partnering with them on the vacation distribution of funds back into improvements on 8. Let's talk about public safety to vacate all of 7th and how we can do both sides of 8th, sidewalks and curbs and gutters. It just seems to me that, and I heard staff say it twice, that if we go forward with this, it's going to be limited to the scope of where it's at today, which doesn't solve anything that I've heard. At least 4 of my other council members say they wanted to add to that mix of potential. And I don't hear I haven't heard one person on 8th Street say they're satisfied with this proposal the way it is now. So why are we moving it forward when nobody on 8th Street has come here tonight and say they're satisfied with it? So to me, it's not wise to move forward until we come back with some better data. And so I would petition my colleagues to listen to what we're hearing from the residents on 8th. They're not satisfied with this. And I think the points that we have to add to that are valid points, so why are we moving forward with it? I still have a motion on the table. I haven't got a second yet.
I'm taking Councilmember Castema's point that we have there's a motion brought forward for our approval. You can't have an amendment to the motion until the motion's on the floor. So do I hear a motion to put the resolution to approve the resolution that's on our table at this point in time?
Mr. Mayor, point of order, I have a motion on the floor. I'm waiting for a second. You can't just bypass that. Well, did anybody call for a second? You didn't call for a second, Mayor.
Is there a second for Councilmember Johnson's motion? Actually, let me just check with you, Joe. We have a resolution on the table, and we haven't had a motion to approve that resolution at this point in time, but we've had a motion to not approve the motion. What's the protocol on this?
Procedurally, the motion to not approve it has failed for lack of second, and it would be appropriate to call for a different motion now, which would be the motion to approve the resolution.
Yeah, I did call for a second earlier, and I didn't get one.
I didn't hear it call for a second.
So, is there? I'll call for a second time, just to be sure we've got the bases covered. Is there a second for Deputy Mayor Johnson's motion? Hearing none, we have the original resolution on the table. Do I hear a motion to approve? No motion to approve. I'm looking at you, Councilmember Castema.
Well, Mr. Mayor, no one's even proposed the resolution yet. So it hasn't been proposed or seconded. I don't plan on doing either. We can just deal with this on another day.
Okay, so hearing no motions, we're going to table this agenda for another day. We will now move on to Ordinance 6A, and Planning Manager Katie Baker will introduce the ordinance.
Good evening, Mayor and members of council. I have not really a presentation, but just a couple of slides for comparison for this item. This is the Middle Housing Permanent Code Amendments before you tonight. This is second reading. So for comparison, I have a couple of slides that show what council approved at first reading for middle housing, and then a couple of options in the ordinance before you tonight for second reading. So you gave direction to modify the Lahar prohibition area, or we're now calling it the restriction area because it's not an outright prohibition. So outside of that restriction area, the first reading ordinance allows 1 ADU, 2 ADUs, or a duplex, 2-unit structure. And it allows a 3 or a 4-unit structure if there's an affordable unit included. Inside that volcanic hazard or LAHAR restriction area, City Council gave direction and approved at first reading allowance for a single ADU, but 2 ADUs, duplex, triplex, fourplex are not permitted. For your consideration at this second reading is to make some slight modifications to the allowances inside the LAHAR restriction area. So proposed for your consideration is still allowances for a single ADU, a prohibition on 2 ADUs, an allowance for a duplex, which would make duplexes allowed citywide, an allowance for a triplex through a conditional use permit, and a fourplex would not be permitted. And then the outside of the LAHAR restriction area, those I think stay the same. Yes, they do. And of course, any of these can be further modified, and we would provide those modifications per your direction at this second reading. I do have the map as well, if that's helpful, but I'll leave it here for your consideration, and I'm happy to answer any questions that you have.
I would just like to weigh in. I attended the LAHAR evacuation exercise last week on the 23rd, and I had the opportunity to have some conversations with a number of representatives, one of the USGS and one of the with the Washington Military Department of Emergency Management Division, and also with St. Gibson, with Central Pierce. And it was quite informative for me, and I think it has a reflection on our discussions tonight. The thing that I learned, first of all, is that the sensors on Mount Rainier are very robust, and there's many kinds. There are sensors that detect vibrations, so that if the LAHAR gets started, it will detect the vibrations. There's sensors that are sound audio sensors, so that if the noise of a LAHAR occurs, then they detect the sound of a LAHAR, and they actually have sensors that even detect changes in air pressure. So as a LAHAR comes down a valley, it pushes air in front of it and will set off the sensor. And then they have tripwires, and the tripwires are in simple terms, are big logs that are up in the area, up on the sides of the canyons, where they would only be impacted if it was a sizable LAHAR that hit it and took it down. So with this variety of sensors that detect different things, there's a lot of redundancy involved. And in talking to those individuals, the individual from the Washington Military Department of Emergency Management Division, he indicated that they would be setting off the sirens within 5 minutes of the start of an event, which gave me quite a bit of comfort from the standpoint that a LAHAR will not reach Puyallup for 2.5 hours. So that gives us virtually 2.5 hours to evacuate. So the need for inside the volcanic hazard area versus outside, I didn't think that was necessary. My comments at previous meetings has went that direction, but this kind of reinforced my thoughts on that, and that we may be trying to deal with an issue here that isn't, we're trying to zone an issue that isn't really a zoning issue. And as I had previously stated, and the opportunity we have here is, as mentioned in public statement tonight, we're addressing a rather narrow expansion of housing that deals with ADUs and middle housing, but we don't address other forms of housing. So it's rather a narrow and targeted thing at the middle housing and ADUs. So I just wanted to bring that information forward at this time. Councilmember Castema.
Thank you, Katie. On the left-hand side, I met with Councilmember Whitting. He and I came up with the amendment, and you have that prepared, correct?
Regarding the triplex through a conditional use permit?
The duplex?
Yes.
And the triplex? Again, addressing the concerns of Councilmember King?
Yes.
And also bringing it to the standard zoning that was there prior on the triplex, correct?
It is similar to what was there prior. Triplexes were permitted outright in 2 of the 4 RS zones previously.
So at this point, procedurally, we have this now. It's actually not before us for a second reading, but at which time you have that amendment, Castema-Whitting amendment prepared, correct?
So that is in the package before you. There is an amendment to allow triplexes through a conditional use permit. That was the direction I was given.
Correct.
That can be further
But does that have to be
amended.
amended, or is that in fact the proposal we have before us for a second?
That would be an amendment to the second reading ordinance.
So what we have to do at this point, however, is put forward as a second reading the ordinance as we had passed last time. And then you have the amendment prepared that does the duplex and the triplex,
Yes,
correct?
that's
Okay.
correct.
So with that, Mr. Mayor, I move that we move to the second reading of the ordinance that we had passed last time.
Second.
Okay. Mr. Mayor, I would like to move for the amendment that you and I actually worked on. You can call it Castema-Whitting or Whitting-Castema amendment. I move forward with that amendment. I need a second.
Second.
Okay, the amendment has been moved and seconded. Discussion, Councilmember King.
Thank you. And I guess a question to the amendment and how both authors, if you will, came up with this idea, or single author with, I don't know how that all worked out, so I apologize. But so the question is, in the inside volcanic hazard area, you have a triplex with a conditional use permit, but obviously that's a triplex without a single family residence on that property already. It's a triplex together.
Mm-hmm.
If you have 2 ADUs on the property, that's 3 units. I'm just kind of curious what the idea was behind not allowing 2 ADUs, but allowing a triplex. That's question number 1.
Katie can explain the size requirements for that would be different, as I understand.
That is correct. So inside the volcanic hazard area, only a single ADU would be allowed. So a single family home and an ADU, 2 units essentially. That ADU would be size limited.
And what I had, the intent was, again, with the foresight of previous councils, that moderate growth would be the approach for the valley, specifically, as they mentioned regarding a Lahar hazard. and that triplex were allowed. So that's why I included it. So take that as you will.
So I guess my question is, and I don't know if that answered it or not, but why allow 3 units with a triplex and not single-family residence with 2 additional ADUs, creating 3 family units, if you will? Why? What's that? That part I don't understand. The math isn't mathing for me.
The CUP.
With I mean, you got a conditional use permit. You could potentially do a conditional use permit with 2 ADUs.
You certainly could. You could make that amendment.
Would that be something you would entertain?
Well, I'd rather, I would rather remove the triplex than now all of a sudden to have, again, I mean, you're talking with no parking, extreme, as I said before, turbocharging density.
Sure. I was just trying to make that make sense for me. Now you have a 4-plex, obviously outside of the volcanic hazard, but only, and this is also for the triplex, but only within a quarter mile of the sounder or 1 unit affordable. Why, I guess with the triplex with a conditional use permit inside the volcanic hazard, that's further out than a quarter mile in most cases, I would think. I'm just trying to put all the pieces together.
Currently, as directed by council, the inside volcanic hazard area and the quarter mile from the sounder station overlap. That could change if the map changes, but you're correct that the quarter mile is fully within that volcanic hazard restriction area, so that essentially doesn't apply. Outside of that area, a property owner could do a triplex or a 4-plex, but only in the event that 1 unit is affordable. That's how the ordinance had been drafted, consistent with state legislation. The council could opt to allow triplexes through a CUP, whether it's inside or outside the volcanic hazard area.
Councilmember King, I will gladly remove the triplex aspect of it if that would help with the consistency.
I'm not sure removing it necessarily will do it justice, but yeah, I hope other council members would be willing to discuss further. Thank you.
So I'm still struggling with understanding this, Katie. The quarter mile of the sounder zone is within the Lohar hazard area. So are we going with the state regulations for the quarter mile within the sounder station, or are we going with the Lohar exclusion?
We're leaving that quarter mile language in the code because it is consistent with state legislation. And this, because this map is a council adopted map that is subject to potentially change in the future, we want to make sure the language is at least in the code to maintain consistency with state law in the event that anything changes and those geographic areas don't fully overlap.
Okay, thank you for that clarification. Deputy Mayor Johnson.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I was kind of holding back on giving a comment here based off my last debate. Didn't know if it would do any good to try and reason. No disrespect, but I just don't know where my head is right now on this, honestly. I'm kind of wondering, are we showing unfair distribution of development in, for the most part, 90% of the city, and then limiting development in 1/10 of the city, and showing fairness of property rights and infill? Seems to me that, that there's encouragement to infill and develop rather than rule, pushing everything out so you can take advantage of infrastructure, public transit, affordable housing. What if some of these folks in the hazard area want to, get a return on their investment for housing for family or their children or whatever, or return their investment. I guess, I'm even questioning, when we started this process out, there was, I think, for the most part, a consideration of a full-out ban across the whole city. And then we, with some more thought and discussion within, I think, whatever, half a mile radius or something like that. And then last time we met, I recommended that we go to the 13%, so it whittled down even farther. I hate to be the guy that's going to whittle it down farther, but I mean, just calling the question, why are we even messing around? Let's just do the 0. Just make it across the board, city across the board, availability of development. Knowing that the data that I heard from the mayor with all of this from paid professionals who study this, indicating there's quite a few hours of time to get out. And so is the magic line, where that line is there between a blue and a yellow, that person on the edge of that line, that much more detrimental to actually get out? Or is it possible they could all get out? It's kind of a line that we're our best guess. So I'm entertaining the thought of opening it up and trusting that the data that the mayor has presented does provide potentially adequate exit out of the city into high ground with the known warning systems that are overcrossing. There's a series of systems that will trigger that to provide adequate escape. Is it, when a catastrophe happens, tornadoes come through, lava comes through, people get hurt. I mean, that's just the way it is. So do we live our lives in fear, or do we live in wisdom and try to make the best that we can in things that we can't control? Earthquakes, things along that line. We just don't know, right? So I'm entertaining the thought of just making it consistent across the city and not isolating 13% of being disenfranchised of affordable housing, knowing there's some precautions in place. But again, I'm disenfranchised from the last conversation, so I'm not even sure what to think. But since Councilmember King, said you want to hear from other council members, I'll just tee that up and see where it goes. So there you go.
Councilmember Castema.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I will counter your analysis of any kind of preliminary warning that we'll receive. Any type of a sensor, any type of a device that occurs has to be confirmed visually. It cannot be confirmed strictly by just a sensor, because sensors can be wrong. In fact, if a false notification goes out, you will probably have hundreds, if not even more than that, people die just from a false alarm going out. It has to be confirmed visually. Keep in mind, where this has occurred in other areas of the country or other areas of the world, people had adequate notice, and still at that point, again, in Columbia, very similar to our vicinity to a glaciated peak, out of 28,000 people, 23,000 people died. I think it is a safety issue. I think that, and I think we will all, in retrospect, be judged by that. I think that this whole proposal was, in fact, put forward by the state to increase density. And if you go to cities where it is extremely dense, it would be very much impossible. It'd just be a hazard in and of itself, the evacuation. So we have been given this allowance. I think we have to use a little bit of foresight. I thought we came with a good proposal on a half-mile to the actual higher ground as an appropriate distance. Keep in mind, we have 52 assisted living facilities, and when an alarm is eventually confirmed visually, that could be at late at night, you may not have much time at all. I think that we have to take some precautions. To treat it as if there's no risk whatsoever would be naive. The USGS report that you, in fact, other people cite, says there is a 10% chance. That's 15% chance over a 75-year period. No, it's 10% chance over a 75-year period, excuse me, that in fact, a lahar will in fact happen. So an unannounced lahar, meaning a non-volcanic lahar. So I think it really is a danger. And I think people on this dais, like myself, are taking this extremely seriously. And I asked members to do the same. I think 13% is inappropriate. That downtown area where we can keep the development on main arterials that allow for easier evacuation will be far superior to other proposals. And I'd say let's not leave it to chance. Let's show leadership and actually define to some extent that we can the probability of someone being injured. So I put it as a safety issue. So I'll leave it at that. People can make up their own mind. Right now, there is an amendment before us that Mayor, you and I had worked on. I'm not so sure it sounds as if you want to support the amendment that we had discussed. But nevertheless, that amendment is before us. And if there's no further discussion, I will gladly remove that triplex aspect from it to allay Councilmember King's concerns. And with that, I will cease my discussion. And if we want to go to a vote, I think that would be appropriate.
I have some closing comments to make. We've had some concerns expressed about the ability of the alarm to be given within that 5 minutes that I was assured it would be. And just putting that in context, the city of Ording is within 45 minutes of that, and the time period to evacuate Ording school kids is in the 45-minute range, so there's no slack in that. So I'm reasonably confident that the U.S. Geological Service and the Washington Military Department and the city of Ording and everybody else is making sure that notice will go out in that 5-minute time period. They were very clear about that, and if they have multiple different kinds of sensors, so
Then let's ask right now, because actually we have an expert in the room.
My floor, thank you.
It's fine.
The idea that it has to be visually confirmed has been expressed by Councilmember Castema, but I didn't hear that from any of the people I talked to. Maybe that's true, maybe it's not, but they assured me they'd get it done in 5 minutes, regardless of whether it was required or not. I see our emergency management person. Kirsten, would you like to weigh in on that?
Yes, thank you, Mayor Whiting. Kirsten Hoffman, Emergency Manager for the City of Puyallup. I'll have to confirm that component about the visual check before the notification process is started. There is a component of visual with the equipment on Mount Rainier that does have to be done. We don't have a confirmation on how long that notification process will take from an event starting at Mount Rainier and coming in contact with all of the equipment that's on Mount Rainier to the notification to the public about the evacuation. There's multiple steps that have to be done. There's multiple confirmations that have to be done by people, and there's lots of different factors. The USGS does not have a 24/7 alert and warning center with somebody who's watching that all the time.
Did you talk to Maximilian, the representative of the Washington Department?
Mm-hmm.
And so that was my discussion with him, and he indicated that they would be making the notification, and he is 24/7 staffed. So is he not to be believed?
So they are 24/7. There is a 24/7 alert and warning center at the Washington Emergency Management Division, but there's steps before it gets to them to make those notifications. So it's not just that 5 minutes. There's multiple steps along that notification process.
So, and how long, can you comment on the evacuation from Ording?
On which part?
How quick the Lahar gets to them and how long they have to evacuate?
So if you're just using the data from the 2022 USGS report, that scenario shows that the Lahar will reach the city of Oregon in about 45 to 50 minutes. But that report does not talk about the notification and how long that will take to notify those residents of the incoming no-notice Lahar.
So what you're saying is that they're going to have to evacuate in under 40 minutes or less?
It's possible that people will have less time than that to evacuate based on when they're notified about the Lahar.
Okay, so thank you for that. So that was not the understanding that I got from them, but we'd had that discussion previously, so I was kind of asked that question, and it seemed to me like he was saying that they'd have a notification go out in 5 minutes, but we're having a difference of opinion here, so I can't guarantee that. But suffice it to say that we've still got an hour and a half from the time that hoarding disappears to the time anything's going to get to Puyallup, so we should have visual notification when hoarding disappears. Anyway, my discussions with them reassured me about the safety and our ability to get our citizens out. So I'm inclined to go with council member. I'm supporting what Council Member Deputy Mayor Johnson was stating. But we do have a motion on the table here. Could you restate your motion? It's to the motion on the table is to accept the proposal with the triplexes, correct?
Without the triplexes. Well, however.
I believe the motion.
Councilmember Mayor, you and I both did that together, and I would assume, I guess that is correct then, okay?
Okay, so that's the motion. Is there, Councilmember Smolko? Actually, City Attorney, do you want to weigh in at this point?
Yeah, I want to clarify. You have a motion to amend. There was a main motion to adopt what was approved in first reading. Then there was a motion to amend. That motion to add the triplex and the 80 duplex. And that Councilmember Castema is referring to as a joint amendment that was proposed or put together. So the first thing to do would be to vote on the motion to amend and then go to the main motion.
Okay, so Councilmember Smolko.
Thank you, Mayor Whitting. I've just been processing a lot. Sorry if I've seemed to be out of it, but I just have to, I would be remiss if I didn't just say what's on my mind right now. In listening to all of these arguments, and I don't mean that negatively, but just discussion back and forth over the past few months about this. When we use Lahar zones or parking or aesthetics to potentially block middle housing in specific neighborhoods, I just get a little nervous and I get uncomfortable because we need to ask whether those exemptions would survive scrutiny, legal, demographic, and moral. And that's where I'm sitting with, that's what I'm sitting with right now. Washington state law is explicit. Exemptions that produce racially disparate impacts or economically exclusionary zoning are not permitted, regardless of the stated rationale. If we lay our proposed exemption map over a current demographic map for the people currently living there, that is a legal exposure, not just a policy disagreement. The people we imagine moving into a duplex or a cottage cluster or triplex or duplex, whatever it is, are the teachers, nurses, adult children, and aging parents who already work in our community but cannot afford to live here. Are those same areas currently permitted to have single-family homes, schools, businesses? If the hazard is real enough to prohibit new middle housing, it raises the question of why existing development is permitted and not being phased out. And that's what I've been chewing on. Thank you.
Deputy Mayor Johnson.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This is, lack of a better term, as clear as mud to me. As I'm hearing to different colleagues speak, I think I hear Councilmember Smolko wanting to perhaps open this up for everyone. Again, I may be misinterpreting that. I think I hear this zero exemption perhaps from Councilmember King. I don't know. And I think I hear it from you, Mayor. So I'm not quite sure if I'm interpreting this correctly. And so that's where I'm thinking whether it's from comments. That's what I think where it's coming down to. I guess we're going to find out in the amendment if it's refused, and I know that my assessment is correct. And if I've heard correctly, I think I hear a majority that is opening the whole thing up for everyone. So that's kind of where I think I'm hearing. If I'm mistaken, council members, let me know if I'm hearing incorrectly.
Councilmember Caston, are you?
Certainly. I will only, I guess, provide this comment that it's rather cavalier of us to say that, well, we think there'll be immediate notification, and then we find out, no, there won't be immediate notification. We still can't put a timestamp exactly on what that will be. The USGS report did say that there is a 10% chance over the next 75 years. In fact, it said that a chance of a lahar will happen in your lifetime. So it's a real threat. Now, I know that those of you who don't live on the Hill or who live on the Hill may not feel the immediate threat of those of us that live like I do in the lower part of the valley. Keep in mind that the zoning that I'm proposing for that area is a zoning we've always had. It does allow and accommodate for a variety of different living areas that this community has said that would be appropriate. The state legislature has said they think their answer is higher density in those areas. And I think that you're playing with fire. You can pat yourself on the back and say you're bringing these alternatives to all of these other neighborhoods. But keep in mind, we have zoning that restricts many activities throughout the city. I can't build a parking lot in the middle of a neighborhood or a car lot in the middle of a neighborhood. I can't do a lot of things in this city because we as leaders say they're not appropriate for that area. A business isn't appropriate for that area. An apartment isn't appropriate for that area. And I think that when it comes to very high density on our side streets, not our main arterials, I think you're looking at hazard. And again, I will, as a resident of Puyallup, have to make decisions in my life accordingly that I know. I would just like to think that we as leaders could also look to make sure that we're not cavalier, that we don't say, well, I don't really know what the response time would be. I thought it was going to be 5 minutes. Now, I guess I don't know what that is, but I'm still just fine moving ahead with it. I think you're playing with fire, and I think there's a high potential of you getting burned. So I would ask that we vote for this, but we'll let this council make a decision. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Councilmember Gilliam.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So I guess just to answer Deputy Mayor Johnson's question of things being clear as mud, here's what I believe we're about to vote on once we finally get there. We are looking at doing the 13% lahar zone restriction and only allowing up to 2 units per lot. We're removing the triplex option. Is that correct?
Correct.
So Joe is looking, the attorney is looking over here saying, nope, because the mayor said, do we have a motion? We made the motion. Then Councilmember Casma said, I'd like to make these amendments, but we never threw in that third piece.
Yeah, the amendment was for the previously crafted
Yes.
amendment, which did include, was mentioned, included the triplex with a conditional use, and also the duplex. So what you would be voting on now is the adding duplex and triplex with conditional use permit. That's the next vote.
So we
the
need to
one
deal
that's
with
on the
this
table.
first and then make another amendment. Can I make it a motion for amendment of the amendment? Or how do we do this?
Let's,
You can.
We're going to hold on the amendment. So we'll address the amendment that's currently on the table.
Yes, Mr. Mayor.
I've experienced the amendments of amendments of amendments, and it isn't pretty. So let's deal with the First Amendment. So we have an amendment on the floor. If there's no further discussion, then we are voting on a lahar restriction that allows duplexes and triplexes. All those in favor, please so indicate.
Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed?
Nay.
Okay, so motion fails. So we're back to the original motion, which, where am I, Joe?
It would be second reading of what you passed at the last time you considered this.
Okay, so do we, or you were talking about another?
I'd like to make a motion or amendment to, sorry. Okay, I'd like to make an amendment to the motion to only allow up to 2 units in the 13% restricted zone.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed?
Nay.
Roll call.
Councilmember Adler,
Nay.
Deputy Mayor Johnson,
Nay.
Councilmember King,
Abstain.
Councilmember Gilliam,
Aye.
Councilmember Castema,
Aye.
Councilmember Smolko,
Nay.
Mayor Whitting.
Nay. Nays have it, motion fails. Do I have here another motion?
Well, let's give it a try. I'm not sure I'll get any success with this. I'd like to make a motion that we just make it across the board, the whole city. The same application that is applied to the 90% of the city would apply to the 13% that's currently being exempted, and that we provide middle housing for everyone, no matter where you live. We recognize, and that's the motion, and then I'll speak to that that's my motion. I'll speak to that if there's a second.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Thank you. Mayor, I'll speak to that. Disaster is going to happen whether we like it or not. We're all going to drop dead at some point. Disaster happens. Earthquakes, we're right in the middle of earthquake zone. We don't know where the lines of that earthquake is going to happen. Certainly lahar is a very real concern, and God, hope it never happens in our lifetime. But we also have to live life and be able to do the best we can with where we live and be consistent to where everyone has the right to develop as they should. So I don't discount the fact that this is a concern, but we just can't paralyze 13% of our city stating that they can't have as many development opportunities in middle housing as the rest. And so I think it's just not proportionate. So that's the reason behind it. We have motion in a second, and perhaps we'll see if it goes anywhere.
Any further comment? Okay, the motion is on the table. You've heard it. All those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed?
Nay.
Ayes take it. Thank you. Motion passes.
Mayor, you need to actually hold the motion, vote on the main motion. That was an amending motion.
Okay, so we will now hold a vote on the original motion as amended by the opening up to development throughout the Lahar zone.
Can I get a point of clarity? I thought I made a motion that bypassed this one, so that overruled this particular proposal. I don't know why we would need a second one.
Because the original motion was never voted on, so you can't vote, you can't motion around a pending main motion.
Just, we actually had two votes. I understood that to be the amendment and then the original motion. No?
No, you had an amending motion that failed, and then the next motion was to change, well, two amending motions that failed, and then you had the third amending motion changed the main motion. So it's an amending motion, and so just to be technically correct, you just need to hold a vote.
I'm glad you're here, Joe, because you keep me on the straight and narrow. Thank you.
I just want a point of clarity. I thought I made it pretty clear. I made a motion to revert back to 0 and the other motion is passed, so it's dead on arrival. I don't know why we're going through back to the original.
Procedurally, I think we need to, but so.
So if I understand correctly then, because the motion I made passed, if we want to maintain that motion that I made, which I thought was clear it should be, that one dead on arrival, then those that supported that should defeat this one. Is that correct?
No, the motion that you made amends the base motion, and so the base motion now includes your amendment.
Okay.
So we're going to vote, and so if we vote aye, then we're supporting your amendment.
Is that correct, as I understand it?
That is correct.
I want clarity. I don't want to realize, hey, that's not what I understood, and then we're already, there. Okay, so this motion will now codify my amendment. Is that correct? Thank you.
Okay, so no further discussion. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Nay.
Motion passes. Whew. Thank you.
Roll call
I believe
vote.
there's a roll call, Mr. Mayor.
Roll call vote, yes.
Councilmember Casterma?
No.
Councilmember Smolko?
Yes.
Councilmember Adler?
Aye.
Deputy Mayor Johnson?
Aye.
Councilmember King?
Aye.
Councilmember Gilliam?
Aye.
Mayor Whitting?
Aye. Thank you. We're moving on. Motion to approve second reading of another ordinance to amend Title III of the Puyallup Municipal Code. So Katie is available. Yes, sir. Just refresh us on this just briefly.
Absolutely. This is a fairly minor cleanup item to Title III, our MFTE chapter, 3.70, I believe, to remove some unfortunate lingering references to the 20-year tax exemption, which was not adopted by City Council, but there were a few erroneously references to that. So this just cleans that up.
Cleanup. Okay, so do I hear a motion?
Motion.
Second?
Second.
I don't see anybody asking to discuss this, so hearing none, we will go right to a vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And we need a roll call on this one, too.
Councilmember Smolko?
Aye.
Councilmember Adler?
Aye.
Councilmember Casterma?
Aye.
Councilmember King?
Aye.
Councilmember Gilliam?
Aye.
Deputy Mayor Johnson?
Aye.
Mayor Whitting?
Aye. Thank you. So we're to other business now, and City Manager Steve Kirkley will give us a presentation on the installation of a flag as part of the America 250 program.
Yeah, real quick, if you don't mind, Mayor, I just want to thank Katie Baker for her service. I know it's not on the agenda, so if you don't, I'm sorry to take that out. 18 years of service to our city. came as a very new planner and is leaving as a very experienced planner and is taking the skills that she has developed here and blessed us with over the past 18 years to our neighboring city in Sumner, a good leadership opportunity there. She was a leader here too, so she's going to take her skill set over there. But I just wanted to just take a moment and thank Katie for her 18 years of service. Very much appreciate it. It's not an easy job at times, just like your jobs aren't easy either. And she's done it, I think, very admirable. Just will be a loss to the city. So thank you very much, Katie.
Mr. Mayor, point of clarity or clarification if possible. Just a comment?
Sure.
So Steve, just for clarity, you made mention of her. Is this the last public meeting we're going to have with her?
This is it.
So I think it'd be appropriate to make a few comments, Mr. Mayor, if she didn't mind, to make a few comments.
If she doesn't.
I'd like to. I feel like, she's been publicly presenting to us for all these years, and it would be appropriate, and I think human to not make comments. Is there a point to do that at this point, Mr. Mayor?
I certainly support and will therefore allow some public comment, some council member comments. Did you want to queue up first, or council member Adler?
Thank you. Katie, you should come up to the podium. This isn't a roast hour, so don't worry. Sincerely, thank you. I have enjoyed working with a professional woman of a certain age, close to mine. We will miss you. You are incredibly talented. You are able to break things down in ways that help those of us, like myself, that sometimes need a little hand-holding through all of the jargon, if you will, and you provide dignity in that, but you do it very well. So thank you. You are remarkably talented. We will miss you, and sincerely thank you. It's long nights, early mornings, long days. I'm sure that will still be the case in Sumner, but for all that you've given here, we are very grateful. Thank you. Thank you.
Councilmember King.
Thank you, and thank you, Katie, for keeping us on the straight and narrow with your wonderful presentations, and like Councilmember Adler said, explaining things that need to be said over and over and over again for some of us, just to make sure we understand it. And you've been here 18 years, and that's an eternity in government. So thank you. Congratulations on your success here, and congratulations on your upcoming new role in our neighboring city. They are blessed to have you, and best of luck to you.
Thank you.
Councilmember Gilliam.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Katie, we're going to miss you. You have tact. You're professional. You put up with a lot of crap. Yeah, somebody had to say it. And Sumner's really, really lucky they snatched you. So Sumner, take good care of our Katie, and we know that you're going to take really good care of Sumner. Congratulations.
Deputy Mayor Johnson.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Katie, I too want to thank you, but I want to come up from a different angle. Been here 10 years now on the council. I think one of the most senior members remaining on the council, so I think I've...
The senior.
The senior, yeah. And so I've watched you professionally, in a sense, mature in your professional skill. And it's really been a remarkable journey, watching you early on 10 years ago to now. It's just a whole different element of professionalism and just professional development. It's amazing. So I too, it's been a joy to watch you develop. As I thought when Steve first announced this, I have to admit I had two sides. Selfishly, I was really bummed out, just selfishly, but personally, if I put myself in your shoes, I'm super happy for you. And I think my joy for your well-being does way supersede my selfishness of wanting you here. And I say that with all sincerity. I have no doubt you're going to succeed at Sumner. And I have no doubt that you'll continue this trajectory that you've been on for 10 years that I've seen you, and I can only imagine these next 5, 10 years and so forth. You're really going to really be at a pinnacle of professional excellence. And I'll leave you with a story that I think that you're probably on the brink of operating in, but maybe haven't recognized it yet. And I'll tell you the story if you don't mind. I remember when I was at Nordstrom, I think at some point in anyone's profession, you become a master at what you do, provided that two things merge together. And those two things in of themselves is not enough, but when they merge together, you become a master at what you do. And those two things are time, giving enough time, and then every day striving for excellence. So you can't have one or the other, you have to have both. So striving for excellence every day and time, it merges and you become a master at what you do. Doesn't mean you don't stop learning, but you really hit this groove. And I think at Nordstrom, I was probably operating at a master's level, but didn't realize it until this one day. This little old elderly woman came up to me one day and she goes, I'm here to get a pair of pants for my husband. And I've never helped her before. And anyway, I said, let me get those for you. And as I'm coming out with her husband's pants, this very odd question, but organic question came out of my mouth. It was so odd, but I thought, oh, let's let it roll. And I said to her, have you ever thought about getting a leather coat for your husband? Now, why would I say that? It was a very odd question. But it kind of was organic, but her response was remarkable. She goes, I've wanted to get him one for years. Can you show me? And she bought the coat. But that wasn't the kind of the awakening. When she left, I go, what was that all about? Analytically, it made no sense. But instinctively, it seemed to make sense. But I realized that mastery is nothing more than yielding to your instinct and intuition. So we use our mind analytically, but we also use our instinct. And when those two merge together, your mind and your instinct, you're going to find that the outcomes are powerful. I believe you're on that track if you're not there already. As you continue to strive for excellence and continue to let time take its course, you're going to hit a master's level. And so with your mind, you'll utilize and implement these things, but your instinct will guide you, and you'll find some remarkable outcomes because those two merge together. So you're on your way to mastery if you're not there already. I'm excited to watch that, and the city of Sumner is fortunate to have you. Thank you for letting me share that. Thank you.
Councilmember Castaman.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I really don't know what Deputy Mayor Johnson was saying in that last speech. I know it was inspirational. I do want to say this. Thank you, Katie, for all you've put up. I think predominantly for me, I have that feeling at least. And I only will say this. I predict in a year's time from now, you're going to be so bored, you cannot wait to come back to Puyallup, because Sumner is our little, it's our little sister city, little brother, whatever you want to call it. We're very, very close, but it's nothing like us, okay? And I know within a year, and who knows, maybe they'll keep your seat warm, so if you want to come back, you can. So thank you for everything, okay?
Thank you. I am going to hold my remarks. I realize that we've been keeping some folks waiting here in anticipation of our item 7A. So let's proceed with 7A, and I'll roast you later.
Mr. Mayor.
Don't go home.
Mr. Mayor, point of order.
Yes.
I would propose that we remove 7A from tonight's discussion.
We've had our citizens waiting for a long time. Let me just poll them on that.
Point of order.
No. Okay. So I'm inclined to finish it up. Hopefully, it's a short discussion.
Only for sake of time and for this evening, it's necessary, in my opinion.
I'll go ahead and second that.
Thank you.
Okay. I will.
Can I, Mr. Mayor?
Councilmember Cassidy.
I'm worried about time. If, to be presumptuous, this does proceed, there won't be enough time to have it installed by the 4th of July.
Mr. Mayor, may I speak to that?
Go ahead.
I would like to rediscuss this item. for a later date.
Okay, so we're moving it to a later date. Okay.
Mr. Mayor, you do need to have a vote. You've had a motion and a second. You do need to have a vote if you're going to remove an item from a previously approved agenda.
Fair enough. All those in favor of moving this to a later date? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? It's moved. Okay, so that takes care of that. I would propose that we also move item 7B, which was item 4B in the consent agenda, in similar fashion. All those in favor? I make the motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Point of order.
Yes.
Or clarification. So are you, is your motion to table that item and carry it forward to the next meeting?
Yes. And
Thank you. Thank you.
thank you. That was your movement, so I should have deferred to your thing. So we've got a motion and a second to move item 7B to our following agenda. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Okay, so we're done with our other business. We're now to city manager's report.
The only thing that I have to report on is the next agenda is the primary presentation will be on the critical areas ordinance. It is not, it's not before you for a vote, so staff will be here to introduce the item to you. It will be an informational presentation on that matter. I know there was a person here earlier this evening who was speaking as if it was going to be a vote. It's not. It's simply an informational presentation. Then at subsequent meetings, there will be ordinances and public hearings after the fact. So that's the main item, in addition to the item that was just tabled. Thank you.
Okay, Councilmember Gilliam.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just wanted to let the community know SIP Puyallup is coming up May 9th. If you didn't get your tickets, so sorry, it's sold out. So either come and shop locally, even though there's going to be a lot of craziness going on, or stay out of the area because there's going to be a lot of craziness going on. But I love that our farmers market is back and that there's a lot of people coming and shopping local. It's a beautiful thing on a Saturday to see our local farmers market back. Also, I have the opportunity, I signed up for this session's CERT class. CERT stands for Community Emergency Response Team. The city of Puyallup is one of the local entities that supports it when our very own Pierce County doesn't actually support it. So I'm glad that at least Puyallup is taking it on and supporting the local area. But we have some really incredible instructors and we have some really incredible topics to cover. I'm going to learn how to put on a tourniquet to somebody in the forest that needs help, amongst many other things. But I'm just going to catch up with the people that have already taken the program. And then after you graduate CERT, you have an opportunity to join Team Puyallup, so to speak, in being involved with what's going on in the community and being ready in case of a lahar or whatever else may pop up. So I am very committed to learning all that I can on how to be a better resource for our community. And then finally, before I hand over the microphone to my next colleague, I just wanted to reiterate, Katie, we are so blessed to have had you on Team Puyallup, and I know that you're going to bring excellence to Sumner, and they're truly, truly lucky to have you because I believe that you will be a huge asset to their team in building the leadership and supporting what their vision is for Sumner. So I'm so glad that we had you, and I'm so excited for Sumner. And I can only see a stronger partnership because of that. So I just wanted to say, Sumner, you are so lucky. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Councilmember King.
I'm good, thank you.
Councilmember Smolko.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. My City of Puyallup World Tour continued on Earth Day, where I got to do a really cool historical nature walk of Clark's Creek, where I learned about native plants and their indigenous uses. I drank nettle tea for the first time and learned how to properly pet, should I ever wish to, stinging nettles. Then I got some assigned reading, The Busy Life of 85 Years by Ezra Meeker. Awesome read. And then I spent a significant amount of time, I am an embarrassed coug. I had not been to the WSU Master Gardener Gardens yet. I didn't even know they existed. So I got over there and I highly recommend it if you haven't done it. They have an awesome children's garden. They have a seed library. They have experts who are super, not only wise, but anxious to socialize about their wisdom. So you can learn about edibles, ornamentals, composting, all kinds of things. So now I have zero excuses. I might just make it as a pioneer should the need arise.
Councilmember Castema.
Oh, thank you, Mr. Mayor. I really don't have much to comment on other than I think it's very important to note the passing of legends in Washington State, and recently Jim Whittaker, the first American to summit Mount Everest, passed away. He was 97 years old. In my house growing up, this picture was probably more important than Neil Armstrong being the first person on the moon. I grew up in a household where my dad was pretty much a world-class climber. He climbed the highest peak in North America, Denali, Mount McKinley, and in Central and South America. And we'd be gone often when I was a young man on expeditions. In fact, he was going to do Mount Everest, but it was so expensive in those days, you had to hire 100 Sherpas. But Jim Whittaker was kind of, when I was growing up, was kind of the epitome of what a Northwesterner was. A person very well educated. He went to Seattle University. He was the first employee hired at REI, responsible for REI becoming the juggernaut that it is. His identical twin brother, Lou Whittaker, both of them were avid mountain climbers, and I knew both of them. I am, of course, an avid skier at Crystal Mountain, and both of those were involved in founding of Crystal Mountain, and I would have talk with him in person there, or I would talk with him in the state legislature. He would come down there to visit us. Very politically involved with the Kennedy family back on the East Coast, very well politically connected, but a gentle, I think he was 6'5", and a very gentle, unbelievably physically fit individual. And so I want to note that passing of a Northwest icon, Jim Whittaker. His brother, Lou Whittaker, died, I think he was like 93 or 94, and he passed away obviously a few years ago. So thank you for letting me make that note of a hero in my life.
Thank you. Appreciate that, Councilmember Castema. Deputy Mayor Johnson.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Great meeting tonight, and I can usually tell when it's a great meeting because I have to step up and take some Tylenol at the end of the meeting just to kind of keep the head moving. But we're good. It's a good stress. I do want to make mention of a couple things. I want to thank Councilmember King for your initiative to inquire about the flagpole. It was a great idea, and I think you had some understanding when you pursued that there was possible state funding that would pay for that whole thing, and for whatever reason, that understanding didn't come to fruition, but it was in that spirit and heart of America 250 that you initiated that, and I'm sorry to hear that the state got some wires crossed or whatever, because it's a great idea, and with all that construction going on down there, I think it would have been an appropriate thing for the state to do. In fact, I'd even like to just propose unofficially that we maybe have some effort to push back on the state and say, we think you still ought to do that. Sometimes a no isn't a no. Sometimes the squeaky wheel gets the grease, and if the state is able to resurrect that with, I call, positive peer pressure of what we understood, maybe they should do that as part of the construction of the area. I think very, very symbolic. So I wouldn't have a problem with pushing back and asking the state to readdress that as I think we initially understood. Secondarily, I want to remind I think all of my colleagues in the council have been invited to attend the Pierce County Prayer Breakfast, which is coming up next Thursday morning, a week from this Thursday at 6 a.m. at the Washington State Fairgrounds. It is the largest prayer breakfast in the state of Washington, and it's right here in Pierce County. I don't know about you, but it seems to me that our country could use prayer now more than ever. And quite frankly, our families and our people that we love could use prayer. And so I think there's a place for that. And it's also aligned, it's kind of interesting, coincidental or fortuitous that the Pierce County Prayer Breakfast also lands on the National Day of Prayer. So the whole nation will be gathering as a designated day of prayer, which was started back in 1952. And every president, Democrat and Republican, has responded to the National Day of Prayer as part of our history and a value. So it's on May 7th at 6 a.m. If you want some more information on that, you can look it up on the website. We would come and participate. We anticipate typically over 1,000 people will be in attendance. And we just got word that our governor is going to be in attendance to come and speak as well. And our keynote speaker will be former Seahawks quarterback Jim Zorn, who will be sharing his life story. It's very nonpartisan. It's not focused on politics. It's focused on faith. And so it's a great opportunity to remind us of what's important and when it comes down to it. So anyway, that's that. And I want to say, again, hello to Marla.
Councilmember Adler.
Thank you. I'll be brief. I just want to say thank you to all of the citizens and neighbors who have reached out over the short period here, particularly around the items on the agenda this evening. Thank you to our neighbors in the PHS neighborhood for hanging tough with us here late tonight. This is democracy in action. And I really appreciate you being so generous with your most precious commodity, your time. And thank you, PHS Viking, for also hanging tough and sharing the student perspective. So important. Thank you, really, for being here. You were terrific, so thank you. And finally, just thank you to my colleagues up here for the good discussion this evening. See you next week.
Yeah.
Yes, so I will hold all my lot of remarks for later. Did Katie escape? Well, I just need to say a couple of things on my behalf. In my 6 years at council, Katie's always been there for us, and during the comp plan last year, it was a rugged time period for the planning department. And Katie was a stalwart there, and I just want to thank her for everything she's done, but particularly not for leaving a year ago. I don't know that we could have made it through our comp plan without her. So again, thank you very much. And Sam, thank you for being here. If you want to have your your teacher give me a call, I will advocate for some extra credit for staying here until after 10 o'clock.
Thank you.
And with that, this meeting is adjourned.